elke comment nog steeds tot vandag toe. Baie, baie dankie. Ek waardeer dit so baie.
Ja. Wat eet hulle? Geen kok.
Hoe ver is het op Janie?
Close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
This morning I'm sharing the stage with guinea fowl, and quite a few of them, as you can see. They're sharing the stage with guinea fowl and barking dogs in a residential area here in Somerset West.
I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming, it's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Hello, folks. Welcome back to Chris Wyatt Reports. This is Chris live in central Pennsylvania. It's the Lying Dog-Faced Pony Soldier edition of the program, Sunrise with the Colonel. Welcome back. You're listening to Mood Radio. Good to see you once again. I hope you like that song. Apparently it's AI, but I don't care. It's really good. And on we'll go. We'll grow in number, fueled by thunder. That's right, folks. Yep. Thousands will arrive in the thousands. Did I get any sleep, says Charles. I think I got about a 20-minute nap earlier watching the O.J. Simpson documentary on Netflix. That's 2 days in a row watching Netflix. That's just weird. Anyway, but two days in a row. Let me say hello to everybody. I got a pinned message at the top, and I'll talk about that there shortly. But Vilma Rasmus is here. Yomas Product is back again. Wills is back again. And Nick Groves is here. Welcome, Nick, one of the OGs. Ulrich Fenter, Vilma Rasmus, been with us for a very long time. Newsflash. Heard the news this morning. A lot of children still home. Oh, you mean school? There's no slots for them. We had a 33 millimeters of rain in 5 minutes. That's a lot. Chris Marie is here. Welcome, Chris Marie. Charles van Onselen. And then who else we got there? Alan Kotze. Karen van Wyk. Welcome to you. Gemore. Troiko Hawkeye. Welcome back. Angie Brand. Good morning to you. And who am I missing here? Anybody? Mondo. Good morning to you. Armageddon. Welcome back. Karen van Wyk already said hello. Okay, Necro Crux, interesting name. Welcome to you. And Newsflash loves the videos. Yeah, no, I've got look, with this mobile phone alone, let's see, I'm charging, it's on the charger. I've taken about 600,000 photographs in that Samsung S21 Ultra Plus, which I bought a few years ago. That's my main phone. And I've taken over 50,000 videos with it. That's just that phone, just since, 2021, something like that, yeah. Yeah, I've got photos going back for 40 years. Obviously, I don't have as many photos before digital cameras, digital phones, but I've got quite a few. Some of my older photos are just the original photos and scanned, and the quality's not so great. It takes hours to do that. So, Jean-Tel, welcome to you. Jean-Tel van Heerden is back again. And then we have Freya Menzel. Hello, Freya. Na, wie geht's? Ich hoffe, ziemlich gut heute Morgen. Ja, ich persönlich, ich bin jetzt in guter Laune. Yeah, and we'll talk about that here shortly. Charmaine, welcome back to you. Juju tries to close. Oh, yeah, he tried that before. We'll see what happens. Love the work you're doing. Keep it up. Well, thank you, Necro. It's very kind you say that I'm amazing. I think I'm amazing. A little full of myself. Well, listen, folks, we'll do a little bit of news, we'll do a little bit of chat. You got questions, ask them. This isn't a news program, but we do have some news to talk about. I'll cover that. And you feel free to ask me a question anytime during this evening. Number one, I will tell you that, again, not to panic, but I wonder if the wave that we've had has subsided because viewership has dropped precipitously in just one day. I could be panicking here a little bit. No, I'm trying not to do that. But for instance, we have half as many subscribers added today as we did yesterday, but I would take 500 any day back just a month and a half ago. But the views on the videos are dropping precipitously, although I would hope that the one that I posted several hours ago would do well, and I think it's taking off right now as people wake up in South Africa. And that is a video that Arctic suggested. By the way, I went back and checked, and it isn't Isaac from Newspod who reported that first. I reported that 8:30 in the evening about announcing to the South African, to the world, that Trump had signed this executive order. I reported at 8:30. I went live less than 3 hours after Trump, or 3 hours after Trump posted, less than 2 hours after he updated his tweet about the executive order on South Africa. Isaac told me he did that at 5 a.m. Well, I did it at 8:30. So 8:30 would be 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, 12:30, 1:30, 2:30, 3:30. So I beat him by an hour and a half. So I said I was wrong yesterday, but I was right. Blow my own vuvuzela there. Anyway, what doesn't really matter. But so Arctic suggested that I make a video about the top questions that people were asking, because I've only answered some of these questions about 757 billion times. I've probably answered these questions as many times as our stars in the Milky Way galaxy. Slight embellishment there, but you get the point. So I made a video earlier today. It took a lot of time, a lot of effort. I had to go through it, come up with the questions, and then answer them as best I could. And I was actually a couple more, but I left them out. Number 15, people were asking about weapons. I really don't know the answer on that, so that wasn't also not something I want to put in the video. So I put down the top 14 Afrikaner refugee program frequently asked questions. Now, I have to tell you that I made the video, which would hopefully answer a lot of people's questions, and also, be honest, I'd hope I get 200,000 views on it. I've never had one of those videos. But the bottom line now is that I find it incredibly perplexing, YouTube. So I made that video. In that video, I directly addressed several things that people subsequently asked questions of in the video, which tells me that a lot of people that are finding the video aren't even watching it, which is a bit annoying and frustrating. You put the time in, people show an interest, they go there, and then they ask you questions and expect attention for you to answer it. I was asked a question, what about us coloreds? Asked and answered. The question was asked in the video. I addressed that very specifically. In fact, very early in the video. Another question was asked about, this and this and this and this and this. And I'm like, I answered all your questions in the video. It's very frustrating. But we've seen it here in the lives where people come in and they ask a bunch of questions over and over and over again. Anyway, so Susan Costa says, thank you for making time in your day to talk to us at daybreak. I know that must be late night where you live. Yeah, no, it's 11:29 in the evening, 23:30 here. Yep. And the reason I started 23:15 was because I actually was watching that Netflix documentary and needed to see if I could find a few news items to talk about in this. Bill says, I personally think people that are overwhelmed with all the news since Saturday, I surely felt like that last night. However, I'm still here. Well, Wills, I appreciate that. But what I also appreciate is if, instead of just asking questions, I mean, look, this isn't, I'm not News 24 or the New York Times and have a comment section where I post an article and someone asks a question. If you want to do that, that's what Substack is for. I have a Substack channel. You can subscribe to my Substack channel. You can ask a question, make a comment there, and then I can answer that. The videos are meant to produce an audiovisual production in which I address these things, which I did. And then people ask the same question over and over and over. Anyway, so people want answers, but too lazy to say exactly, Zordov, exactly right. That's the problem. That's the problem. So another reason I think the wave. I think now the wave we've had isn't just been over the weekend since Trump announced this. We have been like this since about the 18th of January. We've taken off, and we had a slight dip once. And I got a little bit nervous, but it came back. But also getting greedy here too, because the number of views we got in the last 48 hours still exceeds, what I would get in 2 weeks if you just a month and a half ago. But that said, I know how YouTube works with the algorithm. If you are on a wave, you keep riding that wave, you're going to surge. But if the wave starts to dissipate, that's why I normally do videos about a whole bunch of topics, but I haven't done that because I'm being punished for a video I did. Let me see which one it was that really dropped off. Yeah, the MK Trees in Charge. That one only has 4,500 views, and so it messed up the algorithm, and I dropped off. And so my videos now, I'm hoping this one brings it back. Now, you're probably saying, Chris, why are you so worried about views? Well, a couple of reasons, folks. The more views, the more new people are exposed to the videos, the more people find the channel, the more people engage, the bigger community we have, and the bigger guest I get. I mean, I've got people contacting me now that weren't giving me the time of day recently. And not because I'm any different interviewer, not because the quality of the program is any different, but because some people just won't come on a program that doesn't have enough viewers to satisfy their taste. And that's the truth of the matter. And we try to get the best guest on here. We try to get the best information. And quite frankly, I have to be honest with you. I didn't make this channel to make money. I sure as hell haven't. If I'm deeply in the red from my journalistic endeavors, thank God I have other income and I subsidize this with that income. Otherwise, I'd be, if I had 3 kids in college, I'd be in a lot of trouble because I wouldn't be able to pay it because I spent all this money. But I travel the world. I go all over. I make endless contact with sources. I give objective reporting, and I cover everything under the sun, from energy to macadamia nuts to poultry to culture to language to Khoi languages to geography to politics to everything under the sun. And it is rewarding when people start showing up and we see the channel grow. So I'm really hoping we can get the pace where we keep it at 1,000 subscribers per day, hit that 50,000 sometime soon, then take a breath. But I realize that people are exhausted. But they're exhausted because they don't take the time to think for themselves. And that's not an attack on anybody who's watching or not watching, because obviously people here are interested. But there are an awful lot of people who just glommed on, checked in, and what they did was they came here to ask a question, interrupt the stream, and demand attention right then. And I gave it. And those people won't be back, many of them. Many of them won't be back. They say they love the content, but they won't be back. They just came in to get something, and they subscribe so they can ask their question, and then they're gone. If they keep their subscription there, fine, thank you. If that's the price I pay, answering your question to keep your subscription, I'm happy to do it. It answers other people's questions. But the bottom line is that we just trying to grow the channel, because here's the thing: with all these views, the revenue coming in, look, it's nothing to live off of, but for the first time ever this month, well, first time since 2020, this month, the revenue already on day 11 of the month will cover my internet bill and a few bottles of Starbucks and maybe a tank or two of petrol, which is normally what it does anyway. So. Why is Europe South Africa lifeline? What lifeline is Europe South Africa? I have not seen that. Where is it being reported? Tell me what you're talking about, and I'll look it up. Okay. What else? So Susan thanks me. You're very welcome, Susan. It's my pleasure. Breakfast shows. Yeah, no, I know. But guys, understand one of the reasons why it's happening now is because of daylight savings time. In the fall, we fall back an hour so that the sun is up earlier, so that we have less traffic accidents in the morning when people are a little groggy or going to work, and the sun is up, so it's safer, so school kids aren't hit by cars during the dark winter hours, and we save energy. So we jump backwards, we fall backwards, spring forward, fall back. So in the fall, we drop back. We're 7 hours behind South Africa. So it works a lot better for me. 11 p.m. is 6 a.m. in South Africa. A lot of people are getting up or up that hour. So it works well. I was trying this on a trial basis, do it occasionally, but with all the events and with Trump's executive order, it's got me doing it almost every night now just to keep people updated. And Vilma, you asked me on the video, which you obviously see my comment about that I post on TikTok. I can't post that video on TikTok because I'll have to edit it immensely and cut a bunch of stuff out, and then I'll be attacked for, giving partial information. The video is 19 minutes long. TikTok is a 10-minute limit. You can't put anything over 10 minutes there. Plus, TikTok is a shit platform. I still have 2 videos I've recorded that are 8 and 9 minutes, and they won't load. Every time they get almost loaded, I spend hours loading. TikTok is shit. I can sit here and load 30 gigabytes of data in 3 minutes on all kinds of websites. But when I load a video on TikTok, unless it's less than a minute, it takes hours, and then half the time it doesn't load. It's a commie freaking network, and it's a censorship platform. I only use to try to attract younger viewers to my program. I use it occasionally, but I appreciate the power of TikTok, but I'm not the genius editor put my tiny fingers on this tiny little screen to edit this stuff. I prefer to use a PC to do it. And I prefer a website where I can load shit up and it loads. That isn't the case with TikTok. I can show you, this is charged right now, but I've got videos there that I wasted 10 minutes recording a video and it won't load over and over and over again. All it does is drain my battery. It gets 99% of there or 90% and it just stops and it comes back and saves it as a draft. TikTok is really testing my nerves. I'm really have my fill of it. But no, I haven't loaded on TikTok, Vilma, because it's too long. Yeah. We Sapphists seem to need to be spoon-fed sometimes, says Charles. Well, yeah, lots of people need to be spoon-fed, but yes, that's true. All my word, it should be an effort, says Susan. It is. Chris, are whites allowed to be in South Africa? Because many black people in South Africa and Europe say that we don't belong in South Africa. Well, I mean, there's no law in South Africa that says white people can't live there. So, yeah, of course they're allowed to live there. Why wouldn't you? White people live all over Africa. They live in Namibia. They live in Zimbabwe. They live in Zambia. They live in Malawi. They live in Botswana. In fact, they're 8% of the population in Botswana, higher than South Africa. They live in Kenya. They live all over the continent. Yeah. Esther Stamen says she's watching from South Africa. In fact, I expect most people this hour, Esther, would be watching from South Africa. The few Americans that are watching are usually from the Midwest or out in the mountain states or on the West Coast like Light Rain because they're 1, 2, or 3 hours behind me because it's 11:30 here. Lutki Bruma, what would happen if anarchy, civil war broke out in South Africa? A lot of people would die. A lot of things would be destroyed. We've already seen anarchy and civil war. It's called the July 2021 internal ANC insurrection in KwaZulu-Natal and in Gauteng. We saw that the police intelligence, military intelligence, national intelligence, and SANDF were wholly incapable of dealing with it. If it wasn't for self-defense in neighborhoods, a lot of people would have been slaughtered. A lot more than they officially reported. How many of your subs are from South Africa? Jean-Tel, traditionally it's 50 to 60%, but because of all the content recently, I'll have to take a look and see. Let me just go look at analytics, look at my audience, and we'll see currently right now. Right now, my audience is 85% South Africa. It used to be just 50, 60%, but all the recent surge in subscribers because of the events has driven that much stronger. US is second with about 4%, followed by Australia at 2%, UK 2%, Namibia 1.1%. That's pretty good. Namibia 1.1% of my viewers, given that we've got 37,000 viewers. That's impressive. Yeah, so anyway, and my age demographics are skewing younger now. They were getting quite high there for a bit, and they're skewing back to the younger ages. And the good news here is that watch time in the last 28 days, only 31% of my content is come from people who are subscribed. And you might think that's bad. No, that's actually good. That means that I get 6 out of 10 opportunities to get a new subscriber. Historically, when this channel was shadow banned and people weren't being exposed to it, I was getting 1.5 opportunities at best, 1 or 2 to gain. So in other words, 80 to 85% of my viewers were returning subscribers. In other words, no one was discovering. My videos weren't being shown to anybody. Nobody. It wasn't the content. The content was fine. When people found it, they subscribed by and large. But now the numbers are in the opposite direction. Almost 7 out of 10 people watching my content right now are not subscribers. And that's why we're gaining so many subscribers. Hopefully that trend will continue. Because returning subscribers keep coming back, but so many new people are discovering the channel is really awesome. So for instance, where's that chart at? Here we go. So returning subscribers, I had 73,000 views yesterday, or Sunday. It's the latest day's data available. 73,000 views, returning subscribers. and 34,700 views from new viewers. So those new viewers, that 34,700, I gained on Sunday, I think 2,000 subscribers. So every 16,000, I was getting 1,000. So 1 in 16 people watched it became a subscriber. That is incredible. That's incredible. But to be fair, it's also the topic. It's a timely topic. I mean, I can thank Donald Trump and Cyril Ramaphosa for keeping things going here. But 1, 2, 3, 4. Hang on a second. What's going on here? There it is. 1, 2, 3, 4. That ain't right. Yeah, 4. Okay, I'm sorry, 4. Yeah, 4 consecutive days with a pretty good level of not super chats, but ad revenue. Really glad about that. Okay, so sorry if I don't say hi. That's okay. Get the kids ready for school. Gotcha. Okay, all right. I always come to your channel to find out the facts of any news story. Nobody else has your integrity. Most succumb to the lure of clickbait. They do, Freya, and also a lot of people are easily seduced. I try to avoid that. We all fall prey to that at times, willing to run with the story before we have the facts. I mean, I've already seen that from a few other content creators. I don't want to disparage any of them, but they're some of the most famous ones in South Africa. And I've had people who are claiming that it's going to take 4 to 5 months to go to South Africa because that's how long asylum takes. Actually, asylum can take a lot longer than that. And that's a completely false story. You don't get asylum by living in South Africa. You get asylum by being president of the United States and applying for it if you're persecuted or fear persecution. Also, the fake news by some content creators and the media in South Africa saying that you won't be able to go to America unless you can prove you've been persecuted. That's total bull-faced lie. That's not what the law says. These people are not experts. Even attorneys, South African attorneys, they don't know jack shit about the U.S. law, and they're too lazy to take the time to read it, and they're colored by their bias and bigotry and their hatred of America. And so instead of telling the facts, they're misleading South Africans, and it's causing all kinds of chaos. Hence the reason I made the video, hence the reason for the pinned comment there, so you can find that video. I put a lot of time and effort into it, and frankly, I'm not offended, but if I was easily offended, it's quite easy to be insulted by some of the comments. Almost every comment has been grateful and thankful and appreciate what I'm doing, the time and effort I put in. But people asking questions that I answered in the video. Now, I get maybe somebody didn't watch the entire 19 minutes. So if I said something the last minute or two, I'd be like, okay, they just didn't watch the whole thing. But when I express the answer to a question that someone posts there and writes on my video, in the first 90 seconds of the video, that's just an insult. Watch the damn video. I'm going to simply stop answering those questions because it's an incredible waste of time. And it's just very rude for people to do that. But whatever, I appreciate that people are antsy and confused and everything, but, please have the courtesy to actually watch my videos before you comment on them. The narrative that whites don't belong in South Africa, why do so many black people hold this view? Well, not a lot of black people do hold it, Edward. That's the fallacy here. You think a lot of black people think that whites shouldn't be in South Africa? Not my experience. Yeah, a lot of politicians, a lot of media, a lot of social media, but that's not 43 million black South Africans. You got to divorce yourself and disconnect from the electronic world and the nonsense out there. There are lots of people that behave that way, but most people I know, not like that at all. It's not most black people. And it's not so many, it's some. And they're all people who have an agenda or seeking to achieve something, fame, attention. There are some genuine racists, just like they're genuine white racists too. Those people are out there, but it's not most people. Marius Skepish says it's a lovely 6:30 in Pretoria after a day's rain. Yeah, you guys have been talking about a lot of rain recently in the Highveld. Carlo Cronier, good evening, Chris. Good to see you again. Here we go. By the way, next Wednesday at 6 p.m., tentatively scheduled, Hans Cronier, former CEO of the Institute for Race Relations, will be on the program with me. We'll have Hans Cronier on. I'm waiting for an update on Rob Hersoff for Friday. I was promised Friday, but I haven't seen it. Let me look and see if I get an update here that I may have missed. All right, I'll send her a question for any update. Okay. All right. So the narrative is that whites, okay. I'm caught up, sorry. No, I'm not caught up. Okay, hang on a second. Thanks for the information you put out in the refugee program. So much BS has been put out. Yes, exactly. African Air Ordinance. A lot of nonsense has been put out there, and that's why I'm trying to help people. It's just so funny. All the people who attacked me, leftists, black supremacists, white liberals, and the wackadoodles on the right, none of them are putting any information out right now. None of them are sharing, and none of them are refuting anything I said. Many employers do Facebook and YouTube background checks on new employees. I guess that stops many people from joining channels. Well, Marius, joining a channel is a paid membership. So, you know, subscribing to the channel, that doesn't mean jack squat. So, anyway. And if you think that an employer that hires a proper firm can't find out what you watch, even if you don't have a YouTube account, you're delusional. I can tell you, I can find out what you watch on social media if I know who you are. I can find that out. Very easy to do. It's not complicated. Some of it's just a matter of public record. Don't have to do anything nefarious to find out all the things you're watching. You are not protected and anonymous. People think they're anonymous, but they're not. Jean-Tel says, wow, thanks. Many may grow even more and more. I hope so too. Suspect the growth is because news is current and you don't talk cock. Well, Nick, I agree, but hopefully, you know, Trump, Ramaphosa do something more to piss the world off and we'll get more on here. Deborah liked the interview with Sama Sambit, okay? Well, he is indicative of many black South Africans, so he's not a rarity, although it appears that way to people. FBG says he was talking about EU reaching out to ANC to help against U.S. sanctions was on Daily Friend channel. Okay, please help me out. Daily Friend channel on YouTube? Okay, I didn't know Daily Friend had a channel on YouTube. I write for Daily Friend. It's news to me. DAILEFRIEND. Daily Friend show. Okay. Didn't realize they had a YouTube channel. There you go. Daily Friend show. Okay, let me go. Hang on a second. Come on, go back. Come on, YouTube. Oh, there it is.
Marcus T asks, I'm a competitive gamer. With Xfinity...
Yeah, I'm glad you're a competitive gamer. I don't care about that. Come on. What the hell's going on with this freaking YouTube? I said close that window. Europe throws a lifeline to Ramaphosa. Where are they getting from this? Did they mention a source? Let me see. No. The Daily Friend. Is this the Institute of Race Relations? It doesn't look like it because they got reach out to us. Oh, they're off. Okay, that's an energy company. Okay. EU expresses support for reliable, predictable South African wake of Trump executive orders. So News 24, that's what I'm looking for. Finally. That didn't show up on my News 24 feed. I pay for a subscription for News 24. So EU, let me look up EU and News 24. That doesn't show anywhere. I looked under South African news. I looked on the splash page. Never saw that story. And there it is. Look at that. Hidden from me. All right. Well, I couldn't comment it because I've never seen it. Let me see. European Union has come out to bat for South Africa, describing the under siege country as a reliable and predictable partner. That's a lie. European Council President Antonio Costa took to Twitter to announce that in a phone call with Ramaphosa, he'd entered the EU's commitment to deepen its ties with South Africa. Costa expressed the EU's full support in South Africa's partnership, leadership of the G20. Well, I'll tell you what, Mr. Costa is going to find himself getting sanctioned by Donald Trump because most Western European countries are members of NATO, and if they're going to support a communist-loving country that undermines U.S. national security interests, they're going to find themselves on the short end of the stick. Yeah, I look forward to bilateral South Africa-EU summit on March 13th. Well, I hope you do. And, you know, Europe can sink for all I care. South Africa and European Union share the same values of democracy, human rights, and dignity, except that's a lie. South Africa doesn't care about democracy, doesn't care about human rights. Ask Edward Neumeister how they care about human rights. Ask Brendan Horner how they care about human rights. Ask the Braun family how they care about human rights. They don't give a shit about human rights. Ask the dead SANDF soldiers what the South African government cares about human rights. They don't give a shit. Equality? So if you care about equality, why do you have to pass 142 race-based laws? That's not a country that cares about equality. That's a country that cares about supremacy of one group over another. Sounds an awful lot like the National Party. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, no, I didn't see this. Thank you. I will make a video about this. My job is to advance America's national security interests, Marco Rubio said. Okay. Anyway, well, I'm not surprised. The Europeans are woke tards. Those in charge of the countries, not Europeans, but the ones who run their countries, a bunch of leftists like this clown. They're idiots. Making the claim that South Africa supports democracy is just another poke the United States face. I don't know what this European Union jackass thinks he's accomplishing, but he's not going to get anything from it except grief. So, all right. What else we got here? So thank you for that, FBG. Necro Crooks says your freaking ass question video was the first thing I watched this morning. Explains everything very nicely. Thank you. Hopefully the video helps. See, it's doing well. Well, Arctic, well, it wasn't doing well when we started the program. We only had like 4,000 views. Let's see how we're doing now. We're at 10,000 now. It's picking up now, but it's still a little slow. 2,600 videos, 2,600 views per hour. That winds up being a video of only 10 or 20,000 views. If it's up 4,000 to 6,000 views per hour, then that's going to be a big video. It's early morning. Maybe it'll take off. Vilma Rasmus said, I watched Black Hawk Down. I told my children to watch it as well. Well, Vilma, please watch my analysis and review of it over on @RealChrisWyatt. Only 134 people watched it. That's why I put it on there instead of here. LT and Game is back. Welcome to you. Sawabona. Amazes me that the very people that don't want whites in Africa are flooding Europe and other majority white countries. Yeah, well, yeah. No, don't worry about hypocrisy. See, that's the thing. We demand this, do this, that, and the other. Yeah, but then you don't want people in your country, but you want to flood and invade their country, and you demand, to have Sharia, and you demand this, you demand that. Yeah. Anyway, it's funny. Notice all the senior leadership in the UK comes from the Indian subcontinent. I'm not criticizing or complimenting. I'm just making an observation. So many news organizations saying whites rejecting Trump's offer. I guess they only talk to liberal whites. No, they are lazy journalists who read the fake news reported by News 24 claiming that AfriForum and Solidarity said they refused the offer, and Agri-SA. Agri-SA did. Agri-SA is clearly a captured organization based on their comments and their conduct. They have cognitive dissonance, or they're flat out lying to people. So what they're doing is coming to their own conclusions based on partial information. You can accuse me of the same, but we will see in the end that I'm correct. Some people take the offer up, but a lot of people won't go, and I would hope a lot of people wouldn't go. They want to stay there, but the pressure is on, and that's what Trump wants, the pressure on for South Africa to quit undermining our national security interests. And if they quit undermining our national security interests, then things can be restored. But they're just making it worse every time they open their mouth. Susan says, I agree with you. TikTok is a lot of nonsense. Yeah, I know, but I have fun at TikTok. There's some cool stuff there. Remember the that video? That was pretty fun. The German, video there. The problem is the vast majority of the black population tend to be quiet. Exactly. They tend to be quiet. That's true. Roderick Lauren says, thank you for providing the real information. You've become the only news source I know I can trust. Well, there's a few others, Roderick, but if you think I'm the only one, that works for me. It means you'll watch me. Yes, Nuns Killian, News 24 is Propaganda 24. It is the mouthpiece. It's the media wing of the ANC, as is the toilet paper record owned by Iqbal Survey, also known as the Independent Line. And the Times Live is also falling into that category. Daily Maverick has lurched all the way in that direction. They still do some good reporting and investigative reporting, but much of what they report is just pure feces. Chris, your knowledge and history of people and their movements across the world is spot on. Well, thank you, Edward. I appreciate it. That's very kind of you to say that. GB says, remember Western movies like Gene Autry and Wyatt Earp? You, sir, are just like a Wyatt Earp to many minorities. Bring up good news. Well, thank you for that, sir. It's very kind of you. I appreciate that. Yep. What do you think Trump will do with BRICS? Well, BRICS is another brick in the wall. Seriously, no pun intended there. We don't need your education. Teacher, leave those kids alone. Yeah, BRICS is a real problem. And guess who's in BRICS? The little rounding area, the dot at the end of BRICS, South Africa, which has like less than 1% of the GDP of BRICS, well under 1%. So, and Gamis says, correct, all the black people I know are not radical leftists. It's fear of being called whitewashed or coconut that stops them from talking. Spot on. And Gamis is a Zulu, and he knows what we're talking about here. Carlo Cronia, Chris, have you seen Saudi Arabia and U.S. sign a $600 billion trade deal and obviously pause their BRICS membership? I didn't see that Saudi Arabia paused their BRICS membership. I did see that the Saudis agreed to invest $600 billion into America and potentially $1 trillion. So, no, I didn't see them pause it, but that would be interesting. Domino, welcome to you. Light Rain is in from the West Coast, the home of Microsoft, Real Networks, and a bunch of other software companies. Yes, as well as Lefty Lunatics. Yep. And pollen that's really annoying in the summertime. Ooh, that pollen was wicked out there. I never knew I had allergies until I spent a summer out there in Fort Lewis. Ooh, man. Between those frickin' fire ants that bite the snot out of you, man, those things are it's like being attacked by leopards. Good God. Out there in bivouac, taking the cadets out there, going for 4 days at a time from space to space. And those damn things, man, they just kept coming. Oh, man, it was rough. Between those tiny little mosquitoes and the pollen and the frickin' fire ants. Oh, that was miserable. But the 3 days I had off after that, each cycle, were heavenly. They were bliss. I went to Olympia. I went to Seattle. I went all over the place. I even checked out Microsoft's campus. It was pretty cool. That was 1996. Gosh bless it. That was 30 frickin' years ago, 29 years ago. There's an article in News 24 regards someone's land that has been expropriated, but if you click on it, yes, I heard about that article. I didn't see it. Yep. Mario says, I haven't listened to local news for 5 years. Channels like yours fill the gap. Well, thank you. Chronic Equation says, bro, do we just have to wait for America to drop the sign-up forms for refugee status? And when do you think we can expect to see it? Well, Chronic, thank you for being here. But once again, there's a link to a video which answers all those questions. But I will entertain them now since you're here. And that's why I made the video, because I have literally answered that question over 1,000 times since Friday night. So I will answer your question. Yes, you have to wait because there's no such program. As I put in that video, and I put the receipts up showing the executive order from the president from the 20th of January, President Trump suspended the refugee program. No refugees could come to America from January 20th onward until the program was reviewed and rescoped because of the massive wide-scale abuse of the Biden regime, importing people who had no business in this country under false pretenses as refugees and dumping them in our communities, undermining the social cohesion of our country, straining our budgets, destroying our schools, and increasing massive amounts of third world pestilence and crime. Yeah. That doesn't mean those were all bad people, but all those things did happen as a consequence of the Biden regime's criminal actions in violation of federal law. And so, hang on a second, is my alert box off? Alert box is off. Sorry about that. There's the alert box. Yeah, so anyway, Trump suspended that on January 20th. However, on Friday night, February 8th, Trump reopened the program specifically for one group of people, Afrikaners, who are facing racial discrimination in South Africa. So we will have to wait Chronic Equation because there is no such program established. The program for refugee resettlement is a matter of law. It's an existing program. Money is allocated to this year to reallocate to bring refugees from all over the world. So there's money in the program, but it was frozen on January 20th. Now it's being reopened. But every situation of refugees coming from a war zone or coming from persecution in the country to the United States hinges on the rules applied to it for that specific situation. So until the State Department and the Homeland Security Department establish those rules, we don't know. Don't know if you'll be able to take your pets, your guns, whether you'll be able to do this or that. We do not know. And anybody tells you otherwise is full of crap. They're lying to you because they don't know. They do not know. So when do you think we can expect it? Well, I think you can expect it if we're lucky. By Friday, we get some initial guidance, and maybe a program will be up as early as late this week or next week. But that's optimistic. I can't promise anything. Ian Saunders, I normally salute people for signing up, but I missed that because the alert box is off from the interview earlier. So I'm going to give you a salute right now for your membership. Thank you. That's Ian Saunders for becoming a member. Theodorus is back. How is an unelected billionaire telling Americans how to run government, not state capture? MAGA forget that 75 million is very for Kamala, who was a deeply unpopular candidate. Johan Preens. Oh, Johan Preens, thank you. I don't understand your question, Theodorus. How is an unelected billionaire telling Americans how to run government? How is that not state capture? What are you talking about? Have you not been paying attention to how America's been run for the past 60 years? How do unelected bureaucrats and how do K Street lobbyists tell Congress what to vote for and write bills for them? Do you think these bills are written by members of Congress? They're written by K Street lawyers who lobby for industries like the energy industry, the agriculture industry, the automobile industry, teachers unions. They're the ones who write these laws, not the congressmen. They don't even read the damn things. Remember, famously, Nancy Pelosi said, sign the bill, then we'll read it. Remember that? Yeah, the Unaffordable Health Care Act. Remember that? Thank you, Eckhard Swanepoel. So I don't understand your point there. You're way off the base there, Theodorus. You're completely off base there. An unelected billionaire telling America how to run the government. Well, I don't know what your problem is. This is a man who's made trillions of dollars of paper profit for people and wealth, untold wealth, and launched people into space, something that no other commercial company's been able to achieve successfully on a repeated basis. We've seen the failures of the United Liberty Alliance. We've seen the failures of Blue Origins to do this. We've seen the failures of the Europeans to do this commercially. It just doesn't happen. So they're the first commercial space company to do it effectively. We're the most successful electric car company in the world, even though I hate Teslas. And they've done a brilliant job. Everything the guy touches, most of it is gold. That's rare for an entrepreneur. And to take issue with the fact that he's providing advice to the government, first off, Elon Musk doesn't cut anything. He doesn't cut anything. He doesn't have control of that. That's the bullshit leftist lies that the media is telling you. He doesn't have control of this stuff. It's like they're running around, Elon Musk is cutting Social Security. That's a bunch of horseshit. Elon Musk cut this, Elon Musk that. No, he's identified stuff and the president's suspending the spending on it. That's the president doing that. That's his decision. And you think Trump's not his own man? Anybody that thinks Trump's not his own man and that Elon Musk is running this country is a fool. You're an absolute fool. Absolute fool. Anybody believes that. Not you, Theodorus, but people actually believe that. MAGA forget that 75 million Americans voted for Kamala Harris, who was a deeply unpopular candidate. Well, yeah, there's a lot of stupid people in America, Theodoros. Just like a lot of stupid people in South Africa. 10 million or 8.5 million people voted for the ANC. A lot of stupid people in South Africa, too. Bro, I'm mad. Designer and entrepreneur, so it's difficult to thrive here in South Africa. Sweet, no rush, thank you. You're welcome. No worries. Thank you, Chronic. Thank you for your subscription. Thank you. I haven't had Wi-Fi. Oh, no, you don't have to apologize. You see, I'm very patient about it. I'm just letting you know that I've addressed it. When you get a chance, watch the video that I published, the top 14 Afrikaner refugee frequently asked questions. Elon isn't stuffing government money in the pocket, unlike state capture. Yeah, that's insulting, actually, Theodoros. I didn't take assault, but I think about that now. You're basically trying to compare Elon Musk with the Guptas and Zuma stealing money. Elon Musk isn't stealing money. This is so comical. Elon Musk is not stealing money. He's doing the opposite of it. He is identifying waste, and the government is stopping the spending there because he's illuminating it because it was all hidden. They didn't expose it. You know, take a look at the federal budget. Take a look at the Department of Defense budget, how much money is categorized under general categories and things that are hidden. The only thing that should be hidden from public view is classified budgets for espionage and research and things like that that the public should know about. And that's a small amount of federal spending. The rest of the stuff should be public knowledge, and it is, but they hide it. They stuff it in mattresses. It's kind of like pala pala. You know, it's that's very insulting to compare Elon Musk to the state capture area, Theodoros. I don't know what your intent was there, but that's very inappropriate. Elon Musk isn't stealing. This whole comical thing. This is the funny thing. These whiny leftists complaining about Elon Musk is stealing your data. Everybody on Twitter that has a blue check mark or a yellow check mark or a gray check mark next to the name has provided their social security number, their home address, their telephone number, their age, their full name. And oftentimes, for many of them, their bank account information. Elon Musk has it already. Why does he need the government data to find out what your information is? And oh, by the way, all that information is freely available to any financial institution or business that you do business with through a credit check. Oh, and where is the umbrage from the leftists trying to beat in the doors of the Treasury Department demanding that Elon Musk not have access to this data when these same people at the Office of Management and Budget sacrifice the personal details and intimate personal factors about 21 million Americans who are veterans who served in the military or are currently serving as civilians in the government, exposing our top secret sensitive compartment information clearances and top and secret clearances to the Chinese spies for 18 months and didn't even know what was happening. Like I've said a million times, one day I'm expecting a knock on the door. Hello, Mr. Wyatt. My name is Comrade Wang. We understand that you slept with a goat in 1987. Oh, I never slept with a goat. That's what some drunkard told someone when they were interviewing me for my clearance. Nonetheless, we have the records. We have copies. We know the goat's name was Charmaine. Charmaine? What are you talking about? Well, Mr. Wyatt, if you do not get information for us on this nuclear program at 3 Mile Island, we will expose you as a goat fucker. What? What? Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. As a former intelligence officer serving in the military who did background investigations on people, the things that people say because they have grudges against other people are unbelievable. I have had to deal with things that weren't credible allegations about service members claiming that they beat their children, that they molested their children, that they stole things, that they were corrupt, that they did this, that they misused government resources, all kinds of things. Almost none of them are true, but people make allegations when investigations are done because they have a grudge with somebody, or they're a former spouse, or they feel maybe they're guilty, or maybe they feel jealous of someone. And this happens every freaking day to people with a clearance. And every 5 years, if you have a top secret clearance, they go around, they interview these people. Can you tell me about Mr. Wyatt? What's your relationship to him? Well, I'm his sister. Okay, so did you and your brother ever have any disputes growing up? Yes, my brother's a prick. He used to steal my ice cream all the time. Well, you get it, I'm being embellishing here. The point here is that for years, the Chinese were in the database that was supposed to be secure with information. I had a service member, lieutenant colonel, whose ex-spouse fraudulently accused him of molesting their toddler and the 14-year-old daughter. The only thing that saved him is the fact that he wasn't even in Germany when it happened. She gave this, thank you for the super chat there, gave this testimony to an agent investigating from the Office of Management and Budget, investigating that Air Force lieutenant colonel when his clearance was due to renew. And so they go back and check the past 5 years. She got divorced from him, ran off to the States with some other lieutenant colonel who she didn't marry so she could suck alimony out of him while she lived with the other guy, and abandoned the children that she claimed were molested with him, left the toddler, which was now an infant, and left the son and left the teenage daughter who got knocked up by a service member underage and then wound up working in a brothel. That's a whole other story. But she made these false allegations about this person. They wrote it down as it was real because they're required to report it. They gave the information to the Air Force in an investigation. And the Air Force said, or the OMB sent an investigator to Germany. They went and investigated. They went to the safe where the military police kept these investigations. They asked for it because they had legitimate reason to see it. They pulled the investigation out. It said that they did the investigation, but there was no merit to it. Nonetheless, the agent reported that there was a case file there and didn't explain what happened. So as a consequence, he lost his clearance. He was removed from the building as if it was a common criminal because of some disgruntled spouse. All that information now resides in the hands of Chinese communists and the Russians. Yet these same scumbags who failed to protect our personal data, our social security number, every residence we ever lived at, every phone number we've ever had, every relation. I mean, I have to give information on my dead parents. They're dead. What do they have to do with my clearance? But I have to provide it all the time. And every country I go to, every trip I take has to be reported, every stock I own, every mutual fund, all that information is available. The government has all that data. And these scumbags are worried that Elon Musk is going to get data revealed on us. They don't even protect our data now. Where were these people complaining when our data was compromised and our lives were put in jeopardy and we became victims of blackmail potentially? They didn't care. They didn't care. And they still don't care. Billy Meyer says, morning, BRICS will never run. Yeah, BRICS is a joke. Jack Prower. Doesn't mean it can't become something one day. Do you think that we'll need to go to the embassy for interviews? I don't know. Traditionally, you would go, it depends. I mean, if we're in Darfur, you're not going to go to an embassy. They're going to have tents somewhere in the bush if they're going to interview. But I was expecting South Africa, given we have 4 consulates, Durban, Joburg, Cape Town, and Pretoria, that they might take people in for appointments. But then again, they might also just, schedule a building, an office building somewhere and ask people to come by. So I don't know. You need to just relax and wait. Canada rejected to be the 51st state. Asked Trump to make South Africa. There's no embassy in Cape Town, Arctic. It's a consulate. There's only one embassy. There's only one high commission in a Commonwealth country. There's only one embassy in every other country. There are consular services. We have a consulate in Cape Town. There's a difference. Our diplomats work out of our embassy and do diplomatic business and trade business from there. Our consulates provide services to American nationals and also immigration information and sometimes American libraries and things like that, resources to local population. Elon is only auditing the government. Exactly. He's doing an audit and people are losing their minds. So you don't have to go to the embassy, bro. You just have to wait to apply online. Chronic, again, asked and answered, but I will answer it again. We do not know. But my expectation, normally you're going to wind up just applying online. That would be the expectation. It's starting to bother me there, the hat. All right. Yeah, Elon is auditing the government. Thank you, Light Rain. That's exactly what he's doing. And people are losing their mind like he's doing something. He's not spending any money. Isn't it comical to see the people losing their minds, melting down? Who is he? Who is he to do this? He's not doing anything. He's simply identifying the fraud and the waste and the misuse of funds that taxpayers were hidden from. Yep. Johan Barkenhuisen, good morning to you. Thank you. Probably the most informative I've seen. I shared it with a lot of people. Are you talking about my video earlier, Daniel? Thank you. Well, it is the most informative you've seen. I don't have a dog in this fight. Don't watch Daily Friend. You just found out in a few seconds why. Well, I write for the Daily Friend, the Institute of Race Relations. I hope you don't not read my articles because of that. Edgar Zede. Chris, tell me if South African citizens go as refugees, will they forfeit the South? No, not necessarily. No, they can't forfeit their citizenship because they won't be Americans when they arrive here. You can't deny someone their citizenship. That violates international norms. You can't make people stateless. That's a clear violation of the United Nations Charter. It's a clear violation of international law and norms. If you decide in the future to apply and become an American, then yeah, you're supposed to renounce your South African citizenship. But we all know that most people cheat and don't renounce anything. What the ANC will do to your citizenship is a different story. The last few days have shown we can't even read or do basic research. Those coming to USA, you better pull up your socks. That's right. That's right, Arctic. Willem Janssen van Rensburg, good morning to you. The Dems are scared of Elon because he's doing a great job. Exactly, Daniel. Why won't the UN address South African land expropriation? Because the UN is a captured leftist, socialist, communist organization. Look at the membership of it. Most of the countries run by leftists. Magda LaRue, thank you for your subscription. Looks like they're picking up subscriptions again because people must be watching that video. Let's take a look and see if it's starting to surge a little bit now. Oh, yeah, it's picking up now. Okay, and that was my hope. It's starting to pick up. We'll see how the rest of the morning goes after I go to bed when I get up. But that video, which was lingering at 4,000, now has jumped to 12,000. So you're right, Arctic, it's picking up. 3,200. Just about when I started this program about 50 minutes ago, it was running about 1,600 views per hour. Now it's up to 3,200. If it keeps picking up, then that'll be a very good one. But I've gained 239 subscribers from that. I think that should be a 200,000 view video at minimum. And that may be, if people actually watch it and share it like they should, I'm biased, obviously, it should be a breakthrough video. We'll see. Okay. Yeah, monolithic because the UN is useless. It's a Kaffeeklatsch for dictators and frauds. Yeah, it rarely does anything useful. The world over, people have been voting against leftist, liberal, stupid people worldwide. The left is really going down full-blown meltdown. They're in a meltdown. That's what it is. And they're using their media and they're using their politicians to distort things. And I'm going to tell you that I'm going to do a video on that leftist politician from the EU is going to regret what he said. Elon Musk is a guy you can trust because he has no need to steal. Man could buy what? Yeah, well, yes, he could buy whatever he wants. Guess what he's doing now? Elon Musk just put a deal together to buy OpenAI for $97.1 billion. 97.1, it's got to be one of the biggest takeovers in history. 97.1 billion. That's not all his money. He put a consortium together. While he's busy doing Doge, he's busy running Tesla and SpaceX and Starlink. He's also launching a buyout of OpenAI. Guys like me, he's like the Energizer Bunny, except he's got $400 billion, which I don't have. Anyway. Fouché Hap says, I see there's another SONA update on which South Africa says Trump deserves the middle finger. Yeah, no, they're just making it worse, Fouché. They're making it worse. And these politicians keep it up. You know, South Africa will be completely forgotten about. I wouldn't be surprised if my prediction that they cut off AGOA access happens very soon. And if they keep it up, you know, we'll just wind up sanctioning South Africa. And they can sell their products to Chinese and see how well that goes for them. They're already buying everything they want from South Africa. They don't want car parts. They'll make the car parts in China. They're not going to buy your BMW parts or VW parts. Screw you. They might buy your wine, but they're not going to buy your BMW parts. Elon is doing a great job of finding all the fraud. He's a good businessman. Watched him earlier with Trump. Yeah, he was in the White House tonight. I saw that. Elon had more money in the budgets before he got involved. He really doesn't need to steal. Exactly. Well, that's not what it is. The left is trying to play an artful game. What they're trying to do is give the impression that Elon Musk is stealing the data so he can get all the data so he can, sell things to you. I'm sorry, I'm not buying a rocket. I'm not buying a SpaceX rocket to fly to Mars. I don't really have that kind of money. I'm not buying a Tesla because I'm not a rich white guy can afford an $80,000 plastic fucking car that stops working when the battery dies after 300 miles. And I already have PayPal, and he's left PayPal. I don't need Starlink. I get 1 gigabyte per minute download. So there's nothing that Elon Musk has that I want or need. So he can have all the data he wants. It's already there. If he's just a bank, he has the information. He does a credit check on me. Shireen, welcome. What's going on down there in KZN? What the F did I do to get that? Charmaine, that wasn't you. I just picked the name out of the hair. I didn't even know you were here. Marfolk Marlies. There's a super chat. Will South African citizens lose their citizenship? Oh my goodness. I asked and answered just moments ago, but since you're super chatting, I can't answer that question. It's illegal for the South African government to do it, but your country's run by communists. They do what they want to do. They write laws and try to tell people that, no one's going to take land without compensation. Really? That's exactly what the law says. Nil. Nil equals zero. Matthew Dixon's here. Ik like jou hot. Well, thank you, Willem. Charmaine says South Africans won't be able to visit South Africa. Charmaine, I appreciate what you're trying to do, but you don't know that for a fact. South Africans won't be able to go home on holiday to South Africa while you're a refugee. Once you become an American citizen, if that's the path you take, then you can go to South Africa as much as you want, provided they don't blackball you to South Africa. There's no restriction. But as a refugee, you still can't go back to the country you fled from for persecution. I mean, that kind of undermines the whole point you're making about being persecuted. However, I mean, if you have elderly parents or something, there are situations where a refugee could be allowed to go back. But you just basically, when you come to America, you can forget about going back to South Africa for 5 or 10 years, basically, bottom line. But that's not a hard and fast rule, and every case is different. We need a new name for your special goat. I vote Bianca. Yeah, that's better. Spoke to a guy with a big business network. It's scary to know how many medium-term business owners are willing to give up their business in South Africa and go to USA through the refugee program. Ladies and gentlemen, I am aware of a couple of people in South Africa who have been offered opportunities to open up a version of the South African business here in the States and come over with the program and work for that company so they can establish a company here to abandon South Africa. Now, if the ANC's not listening, they better start listening. And I know the little leftist hate-wanking trolls are watching this. Go tell your masters in the ANC that they're fucking around and they're going to find out. Your businesses are now looking at offshoring. And I'm not talking about the 600 American businesses operating South Africa. I'm talking about South African businesses looking to abandon the country altogether. And you don't believe me? Fuck around and find out. I have no reason to make that up, and I won't divulge my sources on that. None of your damn business. I'm a journalist. No need for a new name. Okay. Vote Bianca. Okay. Okay. Where am I missing here? Okay. When did the woke wind virus come to America? Because it started here with Barack Obama. That's when it really started. Hope and change. It was already floating around for some time. It took a long time to get critical mass. It got critical mass during the Obama years, and that's when it started. Really in earnest. But it was always here since the 1980s. It's been here. But we didn't see it play out in a major way until the Obama era. At times, the levels of ignorance. And then that's why when Helen Ziller writes her book, Go Woke, Stay Broke. Stay Woke, Go Broke. This is a bullshit book. I mean, it's well written and it's very useful, but why South Africa won't survive America's culture wars? No, it's your bullshit culture wars that have come here. We didn't come up with fees must fall. That's the bullshit from South Africa. We didn't come up with the concept of systemic racism. Yes, this whole nonsense goes back to some American leftist ideas in the 60s, but it took hold in South Africa long before it took hold in America. All right. Okay, so Mark Pretorius, at times, the levels of ignorance just blows my mind. Too many people brainwashed by the radical leftist bullshit. Thank heavens for people like you who are intelligent. Well, thank you for that. You're welcome, Mark. Appreciate that. Okay, sorry. Cape Town faster and easier to get appointments for visas. Yeah, because it's a consulate. There's not an embassy. They do embassy functions, I know, because I've gone to the Cape Town consulate and done diplomatic work there. But that is a consulate, and it's there for consular services. That's its primary function. It's a nice building, by the way. It's quite gorgeous. I'm not equating Elon to the Guptas. Musk operates within legal frameworks and clearly provides value, but his growing influence will be inevitably tied to government subsidies and contracts. That's an assumption, Theodoros. There's zero proof of what you're saying. First off, the SpaceX already has tons of contracts. They're the bulk supplier of space launches for the U.S. government. So unless there's a major spike there or a contract that's illegitimately awarded to them, there's no merit to that conversation. You're making an assumption that has no basis in fact. You may, in fact, be very correct down the road, but right now, that's simply fantasy. There's no proof of that whatsoever. None whatsoever. And I have no reason to believe it's going to happen. But you may be correct, Theodoros, and we'll revisit this. And if you're correct, then we'll have to admit you were correct. Put a pin in that. Let's remember it. It's funny that the people will give their personal information freely to scammers, but yeah, exactly. People call you up. Yes, we want to talk to you about your connect. Yes, okay. Well, my number is and they give it away. But they have an issue with Elon Musk looking at the federal budget, which is a matter of public record. Anyway, all right. Where did she go? I saw her here a moment ago. Karen, there she is. Okay. Johan van Niekerk. Good morning, sir. I'm disabled. Okay, Johan, I've also answered that question multiple times. Being disabled is not an issue for a refugee. It has nothing to do. See, this is the problem with the people, the YouTube content creators who don't know what the hell they're talking about, and with the fake stream media in South Africa like News 24 falsely reporting things and misleading people. You have different categories of people. You have migrants. So, for instance, the 100,000 plus South Africans who have come to America to be temporary farm workers, the H-2B or H-2A visas, those people who come here, they're migrants. They're legal migrants, just like the people from Central America who come to California to pick fruits and vegetables. They're on temporary visas that allow them to come here as a migrant. That's a migrant. temporary worker, legal temporary worker, migrant. Next is an immigrant. An immigrant is somebody who comes here. Some of those are visa lottery winners. Every year we give out visas, permanent residency to people on the only basis that their name was drawn out of a hat or out of a computer in Ghana or South Africa or Tanzania or Jordan. Woo! They won. They get to come here. And then the bullshit about that is they get to bring a whole bunch of family over. And we saw them bring terrorists over from Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan. And then the guys got involved, the guys in there in the Boston Marathon bombing. That was part of this chain migration. And the Uzbek or Kazakh that was in New York that was trying to do terrorism brought 25 relatives over. I can't bring anybody over here. I'm an American. I have no rights. These people have rights. So those are immigrants. And then you have people that don't win the lottery who choose to immigrate over here. They request it. They have to meet certain thresholds, health standards. They have to have a certain amount of money, so they're self-supporting, so they don't become dependent on the state. They also there's many requirements for it. That's an immigrant. So you have migrant, legal migrant, immigrant. Then you have asylum seeker. An asylum seeker is somebody who is being persecuted or fears persecution for a list of different categories, and those people must be present in America to file for asylum. In other words, they have to already enter the country legally for another reason, and then because they're being persecuted for a reason, back home, they request asylum. Okay. And then the fourth category here are refugees. Refugees, it doesn't matter what your age is, what your physical condition is, what your income is, what your qualifications are, what your language is, what your faith is. We don't care. We have an incredibly generous program that spends billions of dollars to bring people here, to resettle them, to escape persecution, political and otherwise, and fear of persecution. That's just how it works. 92, 2 years old. Does not matter. Disabled, able, doesn't matter. So I hope I answered your question, Johan van Niekerk. And I'm sorry to hear you're disabled. I hope that whatever the disability is, you've been able to adapt to it and overcome it. The human body's amazing. You pull off some pretty incredible things at times. Shani du toy, Remoi. Karen van Aswagen. Karen was here last night. May I ask what your prediction are on the outcome will be for South Africa due to the Bella, NHI, and land corruption, USAID ties with Iran? If you've discussed this before, kindly direct me. Yeah, okay. Well, I've talked about a lot, Karen, but not the way you've asked the question. What is my prediction about the outcome be for Bella? Well, education will be destroyed. The likes of Panyazi Lesufi will take over education, Gauteng, and destroy it, completely obliterate it. 30% will become the average, not the outlier for educational outcomes. And South Africans will be culturally cheated out of their first language, being forced to learn English, which is the first language of 6% of the population. It's an abysmal tragedy. School boards will essentially become superfluous, and they'll be emasculated and castrated and have no effect. And parents, especially poor black parents, will be charged with truancy and fined or put in prison. It will become a great corruption racket for authorities arresting parents who are black because their kids aren't in school, especially them, because they can't afford for the transport or something like that. Thank you, Tondo Tswani. So Bella Ibil is one of the biggest disasters to befall South Africa since apartheid. It's an absolute abject failure, and it will be destructive. And it's not going anywhere. It's there. It's not changing. So you're stuck with it. You're stuck with it because the DA is feckless and rolled over and took it up the ass because they're bum boys, I guess. They like it that way. Their red line was bullshit. It's all bullshit. And the fact that what's her name now? Siviwe Garuba didn't go to the signing. Whoop, de frickin' do. Wow. So she didn't go to the signing of the bill. Who cares? That's not a protest. What a joke. So that's that. NHI will completely obliterate what's left of the South African economy. It's a complete takeover of the healthcare sector. Doctors will flee the country en masse. Nurses are already going to flee the country, and they're trying to get out now. I predict that if and when NHI is enacted anytime soon and the refugee program is in place, you will see mass flight of anyone who qualifies for the refugee program to come here as a refugee who is a nurse. It will destroy South Africa's medical system completely. It is a brain-dead communist takeover of the medical system. We already had this sort of stupidity in America, not to that level, but we had a system under the Unaffordable Care Act that jerry-rigged the insurance market and destroyed the health coverage for 20 million working Americans while giving it to 10 million illegal aliens for free at the expense of taxpayers. And then for most people, the cost of their medical insurance quintupled or sextupled. People paying $2,000 a year for health insurance now paying $12,000 a year. And we're telling people make $60,000 a year before taxes. After taxes, these people are broke because they're paying for health insurance because of the Unaffordable Care Act. So NHI goes far beyond that, and it will destroy South Africa. The land expropriation bill is not a land expropriation bill. First off, that's fake news. It's an expropriation bill that affects Section 25. Everyone's talking about land expropriation, but it's property expropriation. That bill will be used to silence political opponents of the day. Right now, they'll be coming for people. If you talk about the government and complain like I'm doing, you're a South African, they'll threaten to take away your bank accounts. They'll threaten to take away your retirement accounts, your medical aid, your cars, your buckies, your flats, your homes. It's not just about land. It is an abusive law that no government should have the authority to do. We institute governments. Governments don't institute us. We institute governments to represent our basic needs, our collective needs. And this is an abuse of state power. And it's a disaster. USAID. USAID is gone. It doesn't exist anymore. It has been dismantled. There are only 293 people of the 10,000, 11,000 were on the books. And it's not coming back anytime soon. Ties to Iran. Well, the ties to Iran are the major reason why Donald Trump issued this executive order. And if the ANC keeps insulting America, then he's going to put real issues on it. And then we'll just have to expose the South African government for its ties to Iran and what it's doing. Particularly disturbing is the fact that they mentioned nuclear cooperation. So that tells me, at an unclassified level, that the U.S. government is fully aware that the South African government on some level is cooperating with the Iranians to help them with their nuclear program. That is unacceptable. And the South Africans are ignoring that. They better get the message, or there will be punishment. There will be a reason to be upset about the United States. There will be sanctions. Does that help, Karn? Thank you for coming back. Okay. Juju is calling for Saudi Arabia to lose their citizenship. Well, Juju should, lose his and go back to Zimbabwe. If you make your video regarding refugees, it should go viral. Johan, I did it. If I make it, I did it. See, it won't go viral. You don't even know about it. You're telling me I should make it. I already made it. I made it. It's there. Let's see if it's going viral now. I published it some time ago. It's at 14,000. Now it's starting to take off. I published it 4 o'clock. That was 8 hours ago, and it's at 14,000 views. But now it's starting to take off. Yeah, I published it. It just shows you that how it's not being. You didn't know about it. You're a subscriber. You should have known about it. I should have told you. Ilza Hugo, thank you for being here. Good morning to you. Charles Van Olsen, Safa politicians are tripling down. They don't get it. They're stupid. They really are. You got backlash from the owner, turned around and said no, that they would buy Twitter. Yeah, okay, Armageddon. And Twitter said that, okay, Armageddon. Twitter said the same thing. Jack Dorsey said the same thing to Elon Musk. No, we're not selling. No. What happened? Jack Dorsey's not at Twitter anymore, and Elon Musk and his consortium own it. So if you think this is the end of the OpenAI buyout, no. They want more money. That's what it comes down to. Jack Ma wants more money. Trump, of course. South African politicians need to be humiliated. I agree. I'm a dragline operator, qualified, but I will not renounce who I am. My culture, for one, that changes every 4 years, and each president reverses the other executive orders. Well, first off, you're poorly informed, Igor. Each president doesn't reverse every executive order. Most executive orders are never reversed. And we don't change president every 4 years. We change presidents after elections. And most presidents have served 8 years. That's a pretty long time in someone's life. There are exceptions, Joe Biden and George Herbert Walker Bush. But every other president since, other than those two in the last 40 years, has served a full 8 years. So George Bush lost an election he shouldn't have lost in 92 after 4 years, but that ended 12 years of Republican ascendancy, 12 consecutive years of conservatism running the country and restoring America to its glory. Then Bill Clinton came in and we floundered for 8 years. Then George Bush came in and we started well, but then we floundered with our foreign policy for 8 years. Then Barack Obama came in and dismantled America for 8 years. Then Trump came in for 4 years and election was stolen. And then Biden came in for 4 years. So that's unusual. It's rare that we have a president for just 4 years. Typically, the incumbent gets reelected. No one asks you to renounce your culture. If you think you have to come to America and renounce your culture, then you don't understand America at all. And so there you go. You don't understand America, even remotely. No one expects you to renounce your culture. If we renounce your culture, there would be no Amish. There would be no Mennonites. There would be nobody practicing cotillion in New Mexico, California, or Texas. That's just nonsense. There would be no Native American culture. They wouldn't speak Navajo in this country. It would be extinguished. No one expects anyone to abandon their culture. If your culture is valuable to you, you guard it. But it's your responsibility. It's not the role of the state to protect your culture. That's your job. That's your responsibility. If your culture and your religion and your faith and your language is so important to you, then you must inculcate your progeny. And they must inculcate their progeny. And then it continues. There are people who came to America in the 1700s who live in Pennsylvania and came here speaking German from Southwest Germany and Eastern France, and Switzerland, Amish and Mennonites. Today, they still speak German. I know because I talk to them in German. It's a funny German because I don't speak 17th century German. I speak 21st century Hochdeutsch, but I can speak to them and they understand me. And they've retained their culture. We have the Cajuns, who were people displaced from Canada, the Acadians from the northeastern provinces of Canada, and fled and went to Louisiana, plus the few French were there, and they have their own distinct culture. And they still speak a dialect of French. Yeah, Cajun French. So you really don't understand America if you think that you're supposed to renounce something. That's I don't know who told you that, where you drew that conclusion, but that's not the case. Yep. And executive orders don't affect the country. Executive orders don't affect the country. What's lost in this whole debate is every one of these executive orders Trump is signing, most don't apply to the American people. Like the ban on men and women's sports, that's not affected by the country. I can start a sports league and have all the transgender men and women in my league that I want, but I can't get federal funding. That's what he can affect. He can affect the executive branch of the government and the federal budget and how the money is spent. That's what the Trump can do. But he doesn't have any control over local education. He can't tell me who goes to school here. That's up to local school boards and local states. No. I think people's understanding of America is wildly incorrect and skewed by Hollywood and what the leftist media tell you. So, yeah, okay. Karen says, Chris, sorry about yesterday. No, Karen, it's forgotten, okay? And I apologize to you. I don't apologize to people very often. Again, it's based on your surname and your name. English isn't your first language, and you only get so many characters. That's why I've been very patient with people. But your comment came at a time last night. It's just bad time in the flow of things. I apologize. You don't have to apologize. We're good. We'll have a beer, or we'll have a Amarula together, or something like that. I see it had a very negative effect. It's been weighing heavily on my heart. No, my goodness, Karen, don't let it weigh in your heart. Forgotten. It's forgotten. As long as you accepted my apology, which I had no need to do, you insulted me. That may be not in your intent, but that's what came across. Yeah, look, the reason I told people this is because it's important for people to understand. Also, I'm trying to get people to go back and watch the videos because I say things in other videos that I don't always repeat. And so it's worth watching some other videos. No, Karen, we're good as long as you stay a subscriber. If you stop subscribing, then I'll be mad at you. I would never know if you stop subscribing. I don't know who my subscribers are. It never shows me that. Only paying members can I know. Zimbabwean refugees go home every Christmas. Yep, that's right. Some local service providers are getting ready to team up with Elon when Starlink arrives. Well, I wouldn't count on that happening anytime soon. Erica's here. Good morning, Erica. How you doing there? Okay. Somewhere there's a big snake in the grass. I simply cannot comprehend the ANC will destroy its own people completely. Well, they're not that bright. Now I'm going to get whacked. What's Arc Precision getting whacked for? What'd you do? Oh, because you said disabled, even blondes can go. Yeah, you're going to get spanked for that. Just be very aware that medical care for chronic disabilities and disease is extremely expensive. Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah. You see on X, South African government posts again, we are resilient people, will not be bullied. Well, you can keep complaining about being bullied all you want, and guess what? You're going to get bullied. You keep being asses. Not you, the government. Ian Saunders says, what would be your advice to easily integrate American society for those who contemplate taking up Don's generous offer? Well, Ian Saunders, it's a very good question, and one that I did address in the video that I made. My advice is the advice that Arctic's been giving you. Refugee status is not a free ride. You don't get to come here and, impose your values. Not that any Afrikaners or South Africans would try to do that. But you have to integrate. You have to accept the norms and mores. You have to learn to adapt. America is a very different society than South Africa. We may all be Homo sapiens, but there are very big cultural differences. Ask Arctic. Arctic, he's still having a hard time adjusting. The only time he seems to do well is when he's had 3 or 4 scotches, then he seems to be okay. But America is a very different country. And you also can't allow yourself to believe that America is the place where you've landed. America isn't Pennsylvania. America isn't New York City. America isn't Miami. America isn't North Carolina. America isn't Nebraska or North Dakota. America is all those things. It's an incredibly diverse, huge country with 360 million people, including 30 million criminals who are here, who shouldn't be here. And we have a diversity of languages. I always get a kick out of people who disparage America, saying, oh, Americans are too lazy to learn foreign languages. Do you know that nearly 80 million Americans speak a second language? And over 50 million of them speak those second languages fluently. Yeah, and it's not Spanish, if that's your assumption. It's not Spanish. A lot of people do speak Spanish, but many people speak French or speak Urdu or speak Farsi or speak Russian or speak Yiddish. Lots of languages spoken in this country. And they're not just immigrants who came. These are people who inculcate these values or people who've learned them. I speak 6 languages. My ancestors have been here since 1621. By rights, I should only speak English because I'm an American, because of the stereotypes of Americans. So lots of people speak languages. But my recommendation would be that if you come to America, be prepared to work hard. Be prepared to be surprised at how much you pay in taxes to the federal government, to the state government. If you work in a major metropolitan area like New York, to the municipal government, 3 levels of taxation. When I worked in the cafeteria at Ohio University, I only made minimum wage back in the early 1980s. And I was shocked to find out that I had to pay federal tax, Social Security tax, state tax, and Athens city tax. Most places don't have to pay city tax. So every state has different laws. Some states are better for taxation. Some states are better for weather. Some states are better for business climate. And some states are better because they're not leftists. So my advice is to get to America if you come here. And as soon as you're settled, check out some other places. If, in fact, this does happen, this is a commitment I'm going to make to South Africans if you're interested. If you're interested, and if it begins to happen, I will try to establish a nonprofit organization that is a SAFA in America NGO that will be a clearinghouse to help South Africans adjust to American life. We'll have get-togethers in different places around the country. We'll set up a means for people to donate to it, so we have the ability to get people to it there. I'll set up a board and all those things, but I'm going to make that commitment tonight that if this goes through, I will follow through on that to help South Africans. Now, you're going to get South Africans that might say the same thing, but they're South Africans that come to America, and they may have very useful stuff. But I'm talking about helping you to understand America as someone who understands South Africa and who is an American and understands America better than most Americans. So I'll make that commitment tonight. I don't know what you think of that. Maybe you like that idea, maybe you don't. Anyway, that's what I will do. Again, I'm not encouraging anyone to come here, and I'm not discouraging. I'm just saying that if there are people coming, I will look to that, okay? Ian Saunders says, salute. What would be your... Okay, I already got that. Cool. Okay, I have 3 girls in school, and I can say the schools are already a disaster case. It's just going to be a lot worse with the Bell Act. Yep, curiosity, you're right. Oh, there you go. There's Arctic's advice. Come ready to work, clean your own shit. Remember, you're a guest, and you'll be fine in America. I have no domestic help. I shovel my own snow. I mow my own grass. I don't hire services because I'm not a rich guy. And I do all that at the tender age of 60. And I don't expect anybody to clean my toilets. In fact, I just cleaned my commode a little while ago. So I have to be humble and work hard and have a good work ethic. You can practice your faith here. You can worship how you like. You can inculcate your children in your language, your choice. You can tell the history of your culture. But those are your responsibilities. The state is just supposed to provide our defense and a legal framework for people to operate safely and fairly in a society. Don't be like the DA and hit the like button. Yeah. Okay. I worry that maybe Trumpy and Elon come to an agreement with all this stops just like that. We're really broken and identified. Well, he would have to rescind his executive order, and I seriously doubt Trump would do that. There's no reason he would do that. This is the result of a long series of egregious actions by, thank you, Joe Dietrichs, egregious actions by the government of South Africa against America. It's not just the Afrikaner and the minorities being racially abused. It's much more than that. So... But the problem is that if the United States simply addressed that instead of mentioning Iran, and if they only did Iran, they only did the Israel thing, then South Africa would just say, well, look at these Americans. Who are they to tell us what to do? They're bullying us, telling us to try to change our foreign policy. No, we're just telling you that you're not getting any more money. Notice how the United States has not taken any action against South Africa. We haven't imposed sanctions. We haven't even suspended Africa Growth and Opportunity Act. We've done nothing punitive against South Africa, yet all these morons in Parliament and the dipshit state government and the fake journalists at the media outlets in South Africa all keep talking about America punishing South Africa. We haven't punished South Africa, and I'll get to those headlines here shortly. It's just comical. These people are liars. You haven't been punished. It's not punishment. It's our money. In fact, we don't have the money. We borrowed it to give you, and now we have to pay interest on debt for money you spent. And you should be spending your own money on your own people, ANC. Why is the U.S. pressuring its allies like EU and Canada? Is it just political differences with their left-leaning systems? Okay, well, it's a lot of reasons, okay? Canada, why? Because Justin Trudeau is an asswipe. He is a leftist scumbag who has been undermining America's foreign policy. Canada has failed to live up to defense obligations. Over a decade ago, Canada agreed with all the other NATO countries to spend 2% of their GDP on national defense. Canada and the United States are part of the North American air defense system for early warning for nuclear missiles and such. Thank you for the super chat there, Dennis LaRue. 35 Rand, thank you for that. Canada has failed to live up to that. They have shortchanged our mutual defense by 0.7% of their GDP for 11 years. They made the offer. We didn't twist their arm. They did it voluntarily, and they refused to live up to it. This is an egregious offense. We are spending 3.2 to 3.5% of our GDP defending Canada. Screw them. Screw the government of Canada if they're not going to do their job. Canada has also worked against interest on many issues internationally, and this is not the historic role of Canada. We have been friends and partners and close allies for centuries, couple centuries, and now they're behaving like this. Heinz Stegen, welcome. So that's part of it. Trudeau is part of it. Trudeau's abusive treatment of the truckers during their legal protest, in which they used counterterrorism laws to suspend their finances, cancel their bank accounts, imprison people who committed no crimes. Clear violation of the Canadian Basic Charter of Rights, which was introduced, ironically, by his father, Pierre Trudeau, in 1980. And then this is the first guy to, break it in such a fashion. So Canada's offenses are legion, and Trump threatened tariffs for a number of reasons. Now, he didn't cite any of these reasons. He talked about Canada's unfair business climate and its tariffs and other things. So that's a fair point. But the real reason is the reason I just told you. Mexico, reason for sanctions against Mexico is because Mexico is working against American interests. We have a few million illegal Mexicans in this country. And Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum thought she was, playing to the masses, and we won't take these people back. Who does America think they are, sending Mexican nationals back to Mexico? Well, they're criminals who've invaded our sovereignty and violated our border, and they will be deported, and you will take them back. She said, I'm not going to do it. So Trump said, if you don't do it, I'm going to impose 25% tariffs. And then she backed down in late January. And that's why he 30 days suspended the tariffs until Canada and Mexico comply with the things Americans have asked. It's only fair. We treat Canada and Mexico very fairly, and they treat us in abusive fashion. This is like a relationship, an abused spouse, we're the spouse that's getting beaten on. Why should we, stop staying in this damaging relationship and leave it? Or get it fixed, and we're trying to get it fixed. So once Trump threatened sanctions on Mexico, she backed down and she moved 10,000 Mexican National Guard troops to defend the border, to stop the cartels from bringing fentanyl into our country. And Canada, same thing, fentanyl. And Canada announced a 600 million Canadian deal for 10 years, which is just the pittance to get sniffer dogs and to get more patrols and to put up more border stations. But, that wasn't a serious enough commitment in Trump's idea. So they want them to defend the border. If they defend the border, then Trump will rescind the sanctions, or not sanctions, the tariffs. So she not only moved 10,000 Mexican troops to the border, she also agreed, and they started setting up reprocessing stations and camps on the Mexican side of the border to take back these illegal aliens that we're sending back to Mexico. So that's why. And Europe, well, why do you think? What did Europe just do? Europe just had some asswipe who working against U.S. interests saying that South Africa is a democratic country when it's anything but. And they value democracy and equality. They're anything but that. And he did that to poke Americans in the eye. You think that's a good idea? The Europeans are the ones ratcheting this crap up. Unbelievable nonsense coming out of Europe. And there's so many more egregious offenses by the European Union and by Germany in particular and France. And they can keep it up. We've already seen now, I found this earlier. Where's it at? Let me find this and I'll show it to you. Here you go. Look at this. The Telegraph. This is interesting. Thank you, MJ, for your membership. This is interesting because check this out. The United Kingdom is now willing to renegotiate online harm laws to avoid Trump tariffs. So Donald Trump is bringing free speech and liberty back to the world. That's part of his mission here. This is a man on a mission who was nearly assassinated and feels the hand of providence and feels it's his responsibility to restore freedom and liberty to the world. And the tariffs and sanctions are just ways to restore free trade. See, that's the thing. The leftists are talking about Donald Trump as isolationist and he wants to use tariffs because he wants American dominance. No, we want equal and fair treatment. The Europeans apply tariffs to our cars and to our goods that we don't apply to theirs. We have a 2% tariff on most European goods, and they apply 10 and 25% tariffs on our products going to Europe. That's not fair. That's not what friends do. That's what protectionists do to destroy their opponent. And that's what they've been doing to America for 40 years. And we've had one president after another, including Trump in the first term, who allowed it to happen. But now Trump is a different person. Thank you, Willem de Villiers. He's a different person. He's changed. The lawfare against Trump, the attempted assassination against Trump, his resilience, their effort to bankrupt him, and he survived all of it. And he's a different person. This is not the guy that was president in the last term. This is a different Trump. And most people fail to recognize that. They fail to recognize it. I mean, notice the cognitive dissonance. The left complaining about all these billionaires in the Trump administration. What the hell do you think was in the Biden administration? They're complaining about billionaires having influence. I'm sorry. Trump spent $360 million on his campaign. Most of it came from small donors. And Kamala Harris spent $1.1 billion on her campaign. Most of it coming from dark money interest funded by billionaires. But they forget about that. She spent 3 times what Trump spent from deep, dark money. It's unbelievable. It's like the comment that Theodorus was bringing up earlier about Elon Musk and having his hands in control of the guy. He doesn't have control over anything. The guy's auditing the government and exposing fraud, and then the government's shutting it down. It's not Elon Musk shutting it down. Anyway, it's amazing how gullible people are and don't think through what's going on. It's just amazing. So why is the U.S. pressuring? Okay, I think I answered the question, Theodorus. Medical profession is their last colonialist target. Hope they do, but they cannot see Trump change his mind on refugee status. Yeah, exactly. He may just restore things he took away. Might let the aid come back. That's, I think, is probably the biggest outcome. Ken Pachi says he has nothing left for them to take. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Drive on the right side of the road. That's about it. Maintain your Western standards, clean, respectful. Oh, there must have been a question I missed from Ian Sanders. Donnie says, thank you, Chris, for your time and effort bringing us all this info. Well, thank you for your subscription. Please tell people about my channel so we grow. I want to hit that 50,000 mark. It'd be nice. ANC have never actually gotten off their war footing. Yeah, that's right, Charles. They're stuck in 1994. They needs to can eat. Yeah, you're right, Theodorus. They need to can all that. Yeah, that's right. If South Africa stops abusing the United States in the foreign relation with the Iranians and other things, then the aid might be restored. They may not even push, to get the racist laws changed. Zane Mark says, do you have any comment on the government targeting South African pension fund, which is the largest in Africa? Yes, they can, Zane. You're new to the channel. That's another thing I've covered many, many times. Okay, I'm going to bring this up on the screen for people to see, okay? So hang with me a second. I got to find it. I got to make a folder where this stuff sits and resides, because the more slides I do, the further stuff this slides down. Hang on a second. Okay, there we go. All right, so let me find this. There it is. Got it. That was pretty quick, actually. So here you go. So hang on a second. Zoom up to the screen. There we go. Now you'll be able to see it. This is what Section 25 of the South African Constitution says. The law that's just been passed further modifies this unconstitutionally, saying that no compensation. But this is what the law says. Property is not land. Okay. Oops, that's not it. Sorry, wrong one. Here we go. There you go. Screen. All right. So this is Section 25 of the South African Constitution. Property can be expropriated for a public purpose or in the public interest, and it's subject to compensation. That must be compensation that is just and equitable. Property, as you see at the very bottom there, Section 25, paragraph 4B, property is not limited to land. Property is not limited to land. This expropriation without compensation is not about land. That's a red herring. That's a red herring, as is the nonsense that Trump's deal is only for farmers. That's never stated anywhere. People just making stuff up. Oh, sorry, I wanted to show you one more thing from that. Hang on. So that's that. Now, let me tell you something else about this. That's Section 25. That is AGOA, the African Growth and Opportunity Act's criteria, Section 104 of our public law. In order to be eligible for AGOA, you must have a market-based economy that protects private property rights. Well, South Africa, by introducing expropriation without compensation in 2018, negated their access to AGOA. And they've been given multiple years to fix this, and all they've done is double down on it. And this is a huge mistake, and it's arrogance of the highest order by the ANC. And they will regret what they've done here, because AGOA is going to disappear. The Zane Marks, your pensions are history. They may not take it all at once. They might take 10% from everybody 1 year to fund the ANC, to put into a slush fund for black businesses, and then they pilfer the money left and right. I mean, does anybody trust the ANC with money for even a heartbeat? And Conlon, the arms deal, Oilgate, Travelgate, PPE theft, Digital Vibes, the Vreda Dairy scandal, the asbestos deal in the Free State, Zandile Gumeta's 178 corruption fraud charges. I mean, Ace Magashule, Paul Mashatile. I mean, just list goes on and on. They're just a bunch of rapacious thieves. You think they're not going to steal your pension funds? Property is not just land. It's any tangible asset. Krugerrands, your Bucky, your BMW, your beat-up Toyota, your pension funds, It's all property. All of it can be taken. I've been telling people this for years. Years. Face says, as usual, the Colonel breaks things down. Thank you for that. 90 teenage pregnancies a year in South Africa. No, it's not 90. It's probably 90 per day. It's not 90 per year. It's 90 in one little village in the Eastern Cape, maybe. It's thousands of teen pregnancies every year. They don't speak English in America. They speak American. And just when I get to go to another state, I have no idea what they're saying. Oh, Arctic. That's because you don't drink enough. If you drank more, you'd understand what we're saying. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm way behind here. Okay, there it is. Okay, I'm catching up now. My family area, and I appreciate all the information. We only follow your channel. Well, that's kind, Ilza Hugo. You're welcome to follow any channel, but thank you for following mine. I appreciate your patronage of the channel. Sad that they closed USAID. Now we can't hang for free in the expensive hotels. Well, you never could do that. I'm quite happy to accept Thanksgiving, Halloween, and other American traditions. Okay. ANC, MK, and EFF are all the same coin. They're using the Hitler-style fear-mongering and playbook to divide and control. 100%. Susara Els, that's an interesting name. Good morning from the Free State. Are you from Bloemfontein? Sorry, are refugees allowed buying houses? Of course you can buy houses. You can buy houses. You can buy things. Yeah, yep. Now, can you get them a loan? Unless you got money in the bank, you're going to have a hard time getting a loan for a house. So that's going to be kind of a, unless you come here with a lot of money, or you've got Bitcoin and you can translate it into dollars, then you're going to have a hard time buying a house because, normally in America, you got to put down 10 to 25% of the price of a house. A typical middle-class house, somewhere like this, is going to cost you now, because of inflation, $300,000 to $400,000. So 100,000 is going to be 1.9 million rand. So that's up to 8 million rand to buy a middle-income home. You can buy flats cheaper and buy old used houses for much cheaper prices, like 1.9 million rand or something like that. But that's to buy a house. And right now the interest rates are high, so you're going to pay a fortune. I pay way too much for my mortgage. Thank you, Colin. So bear that in mind. And that's prices here. Prices in other places are much higher for the same sort of thing. They're cheaper in some places. So buying a house, you have to secure a loan. Well, as a veteran, I have a really good deal because the Veterans Administration, I have to pay for it, by the way. There's a funding fee. I have to pay the government money. They make profit off of me borrowing money, and they back the loan. There's no reason for them to back my loan, though. But the reason I use a VA loan is that, unlike if I just walked up to buy a house and I wasn't a veteran, I would be expected, if I wanted a $400,000 house, I would have to put $40,000 cash down. 800,000 rand to buy the house. And then I got to make my payments every month. So you have to have money saved up. But as a veteran, I have to put down $0. Marius Fenta, thank you. That is one of the great benefits of being a veteran with an honorable discharge in America. Even if you just served 2 years, you have Veterans Administration will back your mortgage so that if you don't pay it, the government pays it back. They just come after you. The government does. So they secure your loan, basically, but you have to pay it back. The problem with that, though, is that the first time you do it, the funding fee is very small. Then it goes up. And the last time I bought 2 houses under this, and my last one, it cost me $8,000 to pay the government so that I wouldn't have to pay a down payment. But the down payment would have been 3 times that, so I did it. Anyway, so there you go. So you can buy a house, but you got to have money, man. It's not a free ride. Thank you very much. Thank you for the super chat there, Tony. The super chat's coming awesome in from you. A lot of them lately. Thank you very much. We pay crap loads of tax. No, you don't, Charles. You don't. Wait till you come to America. You think you're being taxed there? Okay, so let's run through this again. Okay. The good news for me is my military pension is not taxed by the state of Pennsylvania, which charges a 3% tax. Hang on. But all my other income, so the super chats, my consulting revenue, any money I make is taxed by, and by that way, the military pension is taxed by the government at 28%. But now my other income, I'm charged 28% by the federal government. Then I'm charged 17% for Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid because I'm self-employed. So I have to pay my share and my employer's share. So that's 28, 38, and 7 is 45% already. Then I have to pay 3% to the state of Pennsylvania on that income. That's 48% of every dollar goes straight to taxes. Okay. And then on top of that, when I buy petrol, I have to pay 58 cents per gallon tax between federal and state. When I purchase things, I pay 6% sales tax, which is a lot better than your value-added tax, but still it's a tax. My cable bill, which now has gone over $300 a month, so that is 6,000 Rand a month I have to pay for my cable bill, which pays for my internet. That costs me that much, and of that bill, half of it is taxes and fees to the government. I don't even get that money. It doesn't even go to the cable company. And then my mobile phone bill is $120 a month for my mobile telephone, and 40% of that is taxes and fees to the government. So yeah, you think you're taxed heavily? Yeah, okay. ANC will destroy itself. I just don't want it taking me with. Yeah, I got you on, Sean. And Gaiman says, have you ever done a video on the relationship between the Khoisan people and the ANC government? Well, I did an interview with the Khoisan king. By the way, his informal settlement that was set up on the Union Building grounds was just dismantled on Monday. They tore it down. That the eviction order was from December 11th, and they just destroyed it while he wasn't there. He's back at home in Eastern Cape mourning the loss of his wife, recovering from his injuries in that car accident, and they ripped it down. So it's gone. But there's an interview of me on here with the Khoisan king, and we talked about that issue and how the ANC treats the Khoisan. Thank you, Charles Wilcox, for subscribing. I see the subscriptions coming in now, which means that video is taking off. That's good news. I'm hoping it takes off really big today. Let's see. We said 14,000 last time we looked at it. Now let's take a look and see how many views on that video. 14,000. Now it's 15,400. So it's growing, but not as fast as I'd like it to. Hopefully it'll take off and people share it. Okay. Yeah, so I have done a video in that respect in Gama. I can do Turkey, huh? You guys better learn how the credit score system works. That was my biggest stumbling block. Oh, yeah. No, credit scores. 850 is the max. And if you have anything less than 650, you're in trouble financially. You have to build a credit rating. You don't come here with a credit rating. So getting a loan is going to be impossible unless you have money to park in the bank and you don't need the loan. Say you've got $1 million, 20 million Rand you put in the bank. Well, then they'll give you a loan. Because it's basically kind of secured against that money in the bank. They know you got money. But you come here with a 0 credit rating. You have to earn credit. So how do you do that? Well, you borrow money, but it's hard to borrow money if you have no credit rating. So it's a dual-edged sword. I have a very high credit rating because I'm a very responsible person financially my entire life. But credit ratings can go to crap just like that. You miss a payment on a bill, you miss a credit card payment, you miss 2 credit card payments. I took a big hit last year, or the year before, when the scumbags bought my mortgage. One bank sold it to another bank, and normally it just transfers over. But what they did is they zeroed out my loan, and when they zeroed out my loan, it looked like I no longer had $250,000 or $280,000 of debt for the loan. It's basically said I paid it off. Well, because I paid my loan off and I wasn't servicing that debt anymore, my credit score dropped by 40 points. Now, I still had an amazing credit score, but if I'd had a marginal credit score, I would have been in trouble simply because they paid it off. And then what happened is that they reissued the loan, essentially. It never changed, but just on paper, it looked like that. And so the next month, my credit score came up a few points, and then after 4 or 5 months, it was back to where it was. But they hurt my credit score, and if I had needed to make a loan, an unsecured loan at that time to buy something or to do something, it would have been difficult, or I would have paid a much higher interest rate. The higher your credit score, the lower your interest rate. Because my credit score was so high when I bought my Toyota 4Runner in 2004, thank you, Michelle Martinich. When I bought my Toyota 4Runner, my interest rate on my truck was... How much did I pay on that? I'm trying to remember that. It was 1.75% was the interest rate, but the Brendling rate for the average person was 5.75. I got it almost at cost because they're guaranteed they're going to get paid back based on my credit history. So yeah, the lower credit risk you are, the better your score. The better your score, the easier it is to get credit. Easier it is to get credit, the cheaper the credit is. That's why rich people stay rich. What times does the stream start in our mornings, Garrett? Well, it's not a regular stream. Right now I'm doing it because of the events. So it's been starting at 6 a.m. All right. What do you think about the USS vessels crossing Straits of Taiwan recently? We do that every day. What are you talking about, Holden Caulfield? We pass those straits every day. Indo-Pacific Command has ships that operate out of Japan and now the Philippines as well. And we're there all the time. Autofix service, thank you for your subscription. We do that every day. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Was there a provocative thing? Did they fly in front of or sail in front of Chinese ships or something? Surf's up. Thank you, Colonel Wyatt, for ongoing updates. Clear, precise, and devoid of political rhetoric. Yeah, I have no basis to give you political rhetoric. You know where I'm coming from. I'm a conservative politically and financially and socially. But I believe in traditional liberal values of freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of worship, right to seek redress from your government, things right there in the First Amendment. The right to be prevented from unreasonable search and seizure. right to remain silent should you be accused. You don't have to testify against yourself. Arc Precision says, knowing you, I was kind of expecting such a move from you. Well done. What are you talking about? The idea suggests a nonprofit? And Domino says, that's so nice. That must be, I'm behind the chat, so that must be what you guys are talking about. I don't have kids, but any state that's not leftist is good. Yep. Imagine you dropping your son off at school and picking up a daughter. Huh? Necrocrux says, thank you, Chris. You're welcome. I'll teach American English for free. Free rum. Tony just gave 5 memberships to people. Ryan Henry, welcome to you. I haven't heard domestic help in years. Who can afford that? A lot of people have it. Carl van de Westhuizen, welcome. Fouché Hapst, you're welcome. Newsflash is smiling. I'm in. Okay, that is the NGO idea because people are saying that. So you got to tell me what you're talking about because I'm behind the chat. Jacques Bossov, thank you for membership. Yes, you got to tell me. Erica just told me it's about the NGO. I speak several American dialects: Yankee, Boston, Midland. No, citizenship is not a prerequisite for financing. Your credit score and ability to put down deposit are primary consideration. Yes, citizenship has nothing to do with borrowing money. No. Now, if you don't have resident status here, that could be a problem. Biltung, that could be a problem. Villavianza from Rendsburg, thanks. Appreciate your effort towards our people. You're welcome. Nick says, what's that? Yaku Basson, the government will keep on blaming everyone else. They're never going to see the light. They'll punish their own so-called people. Yep. Not this year. Even snow in Florida, but that was only for 15 minutes. They closed down schools for a day. Yeah, those people lose their minds. They don't know how to deal with snow down south. Dennis LaRue, thank you for all you go the extra mile. You're welcome, Dennis. Only fluent in Appalachian American. Pure hillbilly. Would hear more about your NGO idea, SAFA in America. Yeah, that's SAFA in America. Yep. It's exactly concerned. Once sanctions start, we are screwed. Yeah, if that happens. That's why Trump is held back. He's not trying to punish South Africa. He's just trying to get the ANC's attention. Hundreds of thousands of South here already willing to help people just. Hey, don't steal my thunder, Arctic. Don't steal my thunder. Charles says, good morning. Welcome. David Krug is back. Susan says, thank you, Chris. Establishing an NGO to help South African refugees is a fantastic idea. My family believes firmly in you and your integrity. You are a go-to for U.S. to find out truth. Well, thank you for that. I'm also go-to to find out the truth in South Africa. I had a look at a YouTube video of California. It looks more like Mexico than USA. Oh, it depends what you're looking at. Good morning from South Africa, Magda. Today I just want to send love to everyone who needs it. Thank you for updates. You're very welcome. It's insane watching the reactions from countries how entitled the world is now. Exactly, Evie. People think they're entitled to our handouts. They're not. Who's giving us handouts? Nobody. When Europeans charge us 25% tariffs for peak Kutsia, 25% tariffs for us to ship cars to Europe. Now, I don't know that's the current tariff. I think it's 15%. But charging us tariffs and we don't charge you the same, that's not a level playing field. So no wonder Trump is threatening tariffs. All the money that came into the country, 90% advantages, 10% go to the people. California is stunning. Don't judge a place what you see on the screen. Yeah, California is a beautiful place. Unfortunately, it's run by lunatics. Yep, not the place for me either. I've lived in California, and recently, in the last 2 decades, lived in Monterey. Nice area, but very expensive. Oh my goodness, so expensive. So I went to dinner with my neighbor, who was also an Army officer, and our bill was $250 at a trattoria. I'd lived in Italy. A trattoria is a family-run restaurant which has house wine and is dirt cheap, but has incredible food. That's the kind of standard in Italy. But they used the name trattoria for a restaurant on the wharf, and it was $250 for dinner. I never paid that much for a meal in my life. It's crazy. I had to pay half that, $125. I never paid $125 for a meal in my life, except that one time. But we graduated from school, and so went and celebrated. Define original American. There's no such thing, unless you. Well, I guess the original American would be the Patriots, the Minutemen, and the Founding Fathers. That would be the original American. Anything new ain't easy. That's true. Helen Hayes, the cost of rentals and properties on Zillow are way beyond the reach of most South Africans. Where would we live? In America, Helen? Well, you get a job. You're not getting a free ride here. You get a job and then you pay for it. People make more money here than they do in South Africa. I mean, I would be incredibly wealthy in South Africa. I'm not wealthy here. I'm barely middle class here, but I'd be very wealthy if I was living in South Africa. Why is that judge blocking Trump's orders? Because he's a leftist scumbag. And that's an illegitimate order blocking it. It'll be appealed, and the Supreme Court will, or an appeals court will overturn it because they don't have the authority to do that unless the president has illegitimately blocked money that's been funded by Congress without a legitimate reason. They can't stop the president. It's an effort to slow things down. They want the country to collapse. That's what they want. I mean, if Trump authorized spending that's not in the budget, that would be a reason to stop him. But halting spending, giving money away to foreign people, that's not in the U.S. interest. Well, how can a judge tell us that we have to do that? There's nothing in our Constitution that requires the government to do that. Anyway, where can I buy a flag and a flagpole? Well, you can get it from my cousin, CRW Flags. CRW Flags. Let me see if I've got it on here. I don't know if he ships overseas. There we go. Here's my cousin's website. He sells flags. CRW Flags, located in Glen Burnie, Maryland. My cousin Ricky, really good guy, Navy veteran. So let's see. Let's go with countries. We'll go with South Africa. There we go. Here's Northern Rhodesia. There's their flag right there. Northern Rhodesia's flag. You can buy that from them. You can get different sizes, 12 by 18 inches up to 6 by 10 feet. You can get an 8-foot oak pole, a cord and tassel. Let's go back. So that's Northern Rhodesia. Let's go for Southern Rhodesia. There you go. Southern Rhodesia flag. Let's go back for South Africa 1910 flag. There you go. All right. Come back. Then you can get South Africa's current flag. Okay. Hang on. Where'd it go? There it is right there. There you go. You can get the 1928 flag, the Union flag. You can buy that. Yeah. You can buy whatever you want. The ANC flag if you want it. Cape Town flag. If you want a Botswana flag, there you go. If you're really into Botswana. Yeah. My cousin's got it all. CRW Flags. Charles Richard Wyatt Flags. Yep, .com. Located in Maryland. That's my cousin's company. Okay. Watch this video for any questions. 2031 USA Rugby World Cup. Imagine how sour the answer would be if it was permanent residents to win the cup for the U.S. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So I would like to know if migrant workers already working in America from South Africa. Nope, they cannot. They cannot, Kenny. I answered that question. Someone asked that question on a video I did, so I didn't answer it here, and it hasn't been asked here very often. No, you are not allowed to apply for refugee status if you're in America. However, in this case, they might find a way to make exceptions. I wouldn't hold my breath on that. You can only be in South Africa to request refugee status, or outside America. That's the law. But they might be able to have an exemption. I don't know the answer to that. So, yeah, South African media doesn't talk about the Iran link. No explanation. In fact, when I mentioned it to David Ansara, the CEO of the Free Market Foundation, who is a very well-informed person, he seemed almost shocked, surprised. I'm sure he knew about it, but my emphasis on it, it sounded like he hadn't had any emphasis on why we dropped in subscribers. We were over 300 a short while ago. Now we dropped to 280. What's going on? People going to work or something? Anyway, so yeah, South Africans aren't talking about it because they're afraid to talk about it because they know they're wrong. They know they're wrong. Arctic has been here for about a year. I would like to know if my... Okay. Pure blood? What was that? Okay. Slippery Pickle's back. Okay. Istvan Hussar is back. We got our Hungarians back in the mix. Francois Leroux. You owe SARS less than $30,000. What happens with that debt? Does it not get written off? I don't care what happens with your debt, SARS. The American government doesn't care. You don't owe it to us. That's SARS' problem, not ours. Hanali van Heerden. I see noise is starting an X from Americans regarding the nuclear weapon in Iran, including South Africa. Why didn't the president make that a main focus of his executive order? Well, Hanali, because that was his decision. And isn't it interesting that I've been saying that since the outset and pointing that out and highlighting that, and only now, 3 or 4 days later, are other people catching on? How many people actually watch my content and share it from Twitter and from here? By the way, if you're not on Twitter with me, please join me on Twitter, WMW Chris. You can join me over there on Twitter. My channel is double what it was just a few months ago. That's pretty cool. My Twitter account is 20 years old and almost nobody watched it, despite having 11,000 tweets. Okay. If a company's willing to support your work visa, get a good, honest immigration lawyer, you can get work visa in 4 months. Yep. Need only one flag, says Yaku. Okay. Yep. They'd rather see South Africa fall than see Trump succeed. You tax a lot more as a single person than is married. IRS has some weird rules. Yeah, no, Congress. It's not the IRS rules. It's Congress. It's the law. Congress passes the law. Yeah, no, that's actually definitely a problem. There's all, but you say that you don't get taxed more as a single person. That's actually not true. There's a marriage penalty. You don't get the same level of deduction for two person as you do for a single person. It's actually a marriage penalty. It's the opposite of what you're saying. Your cousin's website looks like it was developed when the World Wide Web was much younger. It was, Holden, and he sees no need to change it. It works. He runs the whole thing. He doesn't have to pay a web developer for it. Yeah. So he and his wife Georgia run the site, and I'll tell you, we just bought flags for the VFW from them, and the flags are great. They're wonderful, good quality, cloth ones. So, okay. My brother gave me a super South Carolina embroidered flag. That's nice. If one is separated and I arrive in the USA, could one remarry? No, if you're legally married somewhere else and you get married in America, you're a bigamist and you'll be prosecuted under South Africa. Wow, the entire country of South Africa just subscribed. Thank you so much for your subscription, South Africa. No, if you're a bigamist, that's a criminal act. You can't be married and then get remarried here. So anybody who's in a polygamous relationship in South Africa that wants to come to America, if you're married legally to more than one person, you will not be eligible to come here. If you come here and you're already married and they discover it, that's fraud, and you will be deported and you will lose your refugee status. Separated is one thing. You cannot remarry until you're divorced. Once you have final divorce, you can remarry anybody you want, even the same sex if you want in many states. Ansar looked confused and worried. All these civil societies are worried they're going to lose their members. He did look a little confused. I'm not picking on David Ansar, but he looked surprised when I mentioned the Iran thing, didn't he? And why is that? Because nobody in South Africa is talking about it. I seem to be the only person talking about it. I need to write an article on that. Surfs up. Unfortunately for South Africa, after we celebrate the end of apartheid, we now have to live under stupid hate. Yep. Nikki said something there. I'm trying to catch up in the chat here. Okay. What did Nikki say? Newsflash wants a wife. Why do you need a wife? Or a husband? Enjoyed the interview with Sama last night, but he's still young and inexperienced. He is, and that's why people need to give him a break, cut him a break there. You know, he's 18 years of age. You can't expect him to have fully formed opinions or have the answers. And if you're looking to an 18-year-old for your answers on life, you really need to check yourself. 18-year-olds, no matter how smart and brilliant they are, aren't fully developed. Their brains are still growing. We know this biologically. But yeah, smart kid, interesting, very passionate. Heidi Breitenbach, America needs to spell it out and draw some pictures to the ANC. They don't get it. Yeah, exactly. Stop being friends with Iran or else. Yeah, well, I'm going to write an article on that. Yep, I'm going to write an article on that. So, Francois Leroux, I was shocked when you mentioned the nuclear issue because I did not think we had expertise to do anything about it. Oh, well, you do. You got pebble bed reactors. Yep. Can we get married in USA if we were only engaged here? Well, an engagement doesn't mean anything. It's not a legal contract. Marriage is a legal contract, and it's binding. Yep. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Your family seems quite practical, Colonel. Okay. Not married, but I have my two parents I'm looking after. They're my biggest concern. Well, Blade Wolf, refugee status. All of you apply for it and see if you can get it, if that's what you want to do. Text a neighbor. They better not try to expropriate our land. Hey, Bernard. Okay, well, I finally caught up with the chat after doing this for almost 2 hours. Can you believe that? All right, let's get to some of the news stuff I want to talk about. So, very quickly, Duduzila Zuma Sambudla has had to profusely grovel and apologize for her profanity-laced rants. Yep, her expletive-laden rants against Floyd Shivambu. Well, South African soldiers have no business in DRC, according to this article by John Madison. Military crisis, a consummation of decay, big SA National Defense Force overhaul is needed. Duh. White Paper's been saying that for 25 years, but the ANC is committed to abusing SANDF. State of the Nation debate. Tembe Simelane has defended her coffee shop loan in Parliament. That ought to be entertaining. I have to go watch that. Yes, I had a coffee shop because at the time, Ramaphosa had no financial scheme. I will now apply for it and reinstate the business. Oh, lady, you're just corrupt. Just admit it. Just admit it and leave. Members of Parliament rally around the squirrel and South Africa's sovereignty among Trump threats. Tondo Meko, you don't know what a threat is. You want to see a threat? You'll get a threat. Keep insulting America. Trump has made no threats. Calls for union support for Ramaphosa during the debate on State of the Nation address. South African legislators have rallied around President Cyril Ramaphosa's assertion of the country's sovereignty amid threats by President Trump over land policies. There are no threats. There are no threats. We've threatened nothing. We've taken action. That's not a threat. Your aid is gone. Bye-bye, ANC. You stepped on your schwanz, not us. Aid is gone. No threat. Not a promise. A fact. Ended. Done. Dusted. No more. You're getting PEPFAR this year, but you ain't getting it next year. So get over yourself. And we didn't ask for anything in return. Then the only other thing we did was we offered, refugee status to a group of people in South Africa, but we offer refugee status to people from Myanmar, to Vietnam. Well, not Vietnam anymore, but to Venezuela, to Haiti. So you just get over yourself. Get over yourself. There are no threats here. These are just bullshit lies. When a country faces a crisis, it needs to unite and navigate against the threat. That's what we must do now, says DA leader John Steenhuisen. DA John Steenhuisen just called America a threat. He just called America a threat. Do you see that? Do you see why the DA is going to fall? It will be the third largest party, best case, in the next elections. Yet they are claiming comically they're going to be the largest party in the municipal elections. John Steenhuisen just threatened America. Can you believe that? Wow. When a country faces a crisis, it needs to unite and navigate against the threat. We are a threat to South Africa, according to John Steenhuisen. And John Steenhuisen says the DA is going to come to America. Well, you're not welcome, John. You're not welcome. I never called the DA a threat to America. I never called the DA a threat to South Africans. But you're calling America a threat to South Africa, the DA. Wow. Wow. Johan just watched the video. Thank you for that. Can you believe that? The U.S. has bullied nations before, imposed senseless and arbitrary sanctions and threatened wars. We agree with you, President, that we should not be bullied, says Julius Malema. Well, Julius Malema, you're a dipshit. The United States did not impose sanctions, and we haven't threatened any war against South Africa, so shove it up your ample backside. Let's see what else is on here. John Shalope, leader of MK, said South Africa should strengthen its economic relations with fellow BRICS to counteract trade threats. There were no trade threats. This is comical. These people are stupid beyond belief. Wow. While we expect President Trump to end the imperialist war of NATO and Russia and to disassociate from the neo-colonial dishonest so-called green energy transitions imposed on the developing world, we do not agree with him in his promotion of white supremacists who claim they're facing genocide in South Africa. Well, John Shalope, that's a racist black supremacist statement. There's no white supremacists. No one's saying genocide. That's your lie. No one's saying anything about genocide. That's your lie. That's the media's lie. No one's saying that. John Shalope, you're a clown. There's no genocide. There's no threat of genocide. No one said there was a threat of genocide. There's a cultural genocide against Afrikaans. There's no denying that, but not against the people. And there are legitimate cries of hysterically and presently oppressed and excluded black majority who demand return for land and wealth to the ownership and control of the people as a whole and not the privileged few beneficiaries of apartheid. Again, this is just a dumbass. Rise Mzansi leader Ziba echoed similar comments to Shalope. Now's the time to build alternative export and foreign exchange earning streams and guard jealousy, trade, and other relationships we already have. Well, good luck to you. Have fun with that. Have fun with that. There's a video. I guess I'm not going to bed after this. I'll have to make a video about that stupidity. Wow. Trump some more. Wow. Parliamentarians hit back the U.S. Listen to these clowns. Look at this. I had wanted to talk about domestic issues, but we're living in strange times, says Zibi. The untruths the U.S. was peddling, said Zibi, were deadly serious because they affected 17% of the South Africa's HIV budget and about 15,000 associated jobs. Well, first off, that's a lie. You're peddling lies. The USAID money doesn't go to South Africa's HIV budget. You're a lie. You're a clown. You're a liar. We give that to third parties, not the South African government. So it's not part of your HIV budget. You're full of shit. 15,000 jobs, that's your fault. You've had 22 years to address HIV. We have generously given you $8.1 billion. Wow. Mr. President, we must not be caught napping. Well, you are napping because you're a fool. It's only a matter of time before we're removed from AGOA. You are right about that. Okay? All right, what else we got here? Mr. President, we are not being attacked by the Trump administration because you did anything wrong, said Malema. They're attacking us because of our stand on Israel. They're attacking us because of our action our government's taken in the ICJ. No, that's not it, Julius. You don't get it. Freedom Front Plus took a markedly different line with Peter Groenewald thanking Trump and Afrikaners for putting a spotlight on Afrikaners, reminding the world of their existence. But he hit out at the land reform project saying it's not true that expropriation without compensation will solve the land issue. Yep, well, Peter Groenewald is correct. The only person that's not smoking his socks. Yep, MPs discussed U.S.-South Africa relations during the SONA debate. Parties doubled down on the refusal to cower to U.S. President Trump's show of might. Well, some warn against ANC's policy directions. There's no show of might here. How do these people actually believe this horse shit? It's comical. Ramaphosa's U.S. problem needs a political solution, the president's close allies say. Analysts say Ramaphosa must find a technical team that really understands the dynamics of the U.S. and recent global shifts. Well, the ANC doesn't understand the United States, and neither does the DA. They're clueless. They are clueless. Wow. He found himself in the middle of growing tensions as U.S. President Donald Trump makes... When will the ANC take a hard look at itself? 30 million black South Africans live in abject poverty. That is over 3 times the number that lived in poverty under the National Party 31 years ago. The ANC has gotten 15 soldiers killed in the car and an unnecessary imperialist deployment to the Central African Republic. They've gotten 24 South Africans killed between those who died last year and those who died now in Goma over an imperialist mineral rights deployment to the Congo, pretending it's about peace. And they've raised a war of words with Paul Kagame, with one of the most effective and efficient militaries in all of Africa, insulting them, calling them militia because they're stupid. And now they get in a tiff with the United States. Meanwhile, they do everything they can to insult America. It's just comical. It's comical. That's it, Chris. Tell them I love it. No bullshit here. You're right. Yeah, the DA's stupidity is horrendous. That's right. They're beyond redemption. I don't know what the hell's going on over there. And oh, by the way, so let me be very clear about this. This isn't bumhurt. I've interviewed John Steenhuisen, but his public affairs person fobs me off all the time. She's polite. She answers my text messages, but never gives me an interview with John Steenhuisen. Frankly, I don't want one. He's got a lot of explaining to do, and it won't be a pleasant experience. If John Steenhuisen would want to come on this program, he would be treated fairly, but he's not going to get a free ride. He won't get a free ride. He got to explain himself, and he can't explain himself. You want to know if you can open an American bank account for South Africa. Only if you have a taxpayer identification number or a social security number. You have to have that to open a bank account from here. Yep. Yeah, I have to open a bank account in South Africa, and I can't do that from here. I've had a hard time doing that. Remember when Johnny hopped on a plane to the Ukraine? When he came back, he tried to convince me to back the Ukraine. Exactly. So sorry about this, Charmaine, but you got to have a taxpayer identification number or a social security number in order to open a bank account. They're boiling the pot slowly, and we are the frogs. Yeah, the pot's boiling over. Give Johnny a break. No matter what he does, he's not going to be a minister for more than 4 years. Correct. ANC is clueless. Yep, they're not the only ones, though. Okay. See why there were apartheid now, Chris will hit me, but that's the truth. Hussar, no, that's not why there was apartheid. Apartheid existed because it suited the needs of the political government, and it suited the needs of the mythos that was created about the Afrikaner nation, some of which was true, but a lot of it was over-the-top propaganda by the National Party. And there was also degrees of racism involved there, too. So it's a very complicated reason why apartheid existed. So if there'd never been any racist legislation, then the argument about separate development would have more legitimacy. But we all know that that wasn't the case. So I have no idea. But you won't be spanked on that. That's nothing wrong. So Neville says, I get the qualification for refugee status, but how do I support myself at 65 years old if I get there? Well, Neville, I don't have the answer on that, how it works, because I do know that they wind up giving Social Security payments out to people who never paid into it, and I don't know how that happens, but they do that. I mean, I think that's unfair because I paid in Social Security for 40-some years, and you're getting a payment that's not commensurate with mine, but it's going to be a payment that you never paid into, but they do that. Don't know the answer on that one, Neville. I wish I knew the answer for that. I'm not a subject matter expert on that, but people younger than that will be expected to work. 65 is retirement age in America. I don't know the answer. If I can get an answer for you on that, Neville, please stay tuned to this space, and I will share it to you as soon as that information comes out. Black South Africans do not realize ANC sold South Africa. Well, it's not just black South Africans. I mean, Barbara Creasy's part of it, you know. There's a whole bunch of white South Africans who are in the ANC. They're just not in the executive committee anymore. Nope, Chris, we knew where the land would go. Okay, a question with everything that's happened over the last few days. How has the rand not tanked? It's a good question, Zane. Probably because most people don't care much about it. The currency traders are just holding their breath. Apartheid was stupid. Birds of a feather flock together. Didn't have to make it law. Look at Zim. Yep. The actions of the DA since they've joined the UA will not have desired effect they were looking for. Their spineless actions will cause more people to not vote for them. Yeah, they're tanking. Tyrone's, do you think that Afrikaans people culture will be frowned upon? Frowned upon where? Where? In Northwest Province? No. Western Cape? No. New Zealand? No. Frowned upon by whom? By Americans? Americans wouldn't care about that. No sanctions. The reason I think the rand is stable for now. Exactly, William. I think you've got a good spot there. There are no sanctions. AGOA. When AGOA gets pulled, the rand is tanking. The rand is tanking. When the government tries to expropriate something, and if the media covers it accurately and honestly, the rand will tank. Yep. Exactly right. That's what's going to happen there, folks. That's the bottom line with that. Okay, let's take a look and see what's going on the channel here with subscriptions and such. I'm trying to get to that 40,000 mark. We got a ways to go. 37,817. But yesterday, we didn't have a great day for subscriptions. Let me see. Analytics. It's been the slowest day we've had in a few weeks yesterday. So let me see. Live count. So we started at 37,103, and it says at midnight. Oh, no, actually, it isn't midnight yet because the time here is based on California time. So my data goes to California time. So 37,103. It's still counting because it's only 10:23. So I got another hour and a half to add subscribers, which will bump it up. So right now it started at 103. So 818. That means 715 people have subscribed today. That's better than it was looking. But that's cool. So thank you for that. Let me take a look very quickly at that video that we were talking about earlier, the 14 questions, and see where that's at. It's at 16,900. It's just now creeping above the average number of views I've had for videos lately. So there's a gray band here on YouTube, and let me show you how that works. But I'm getting a lot of subscribers from it. Thank you for that. So let me show you how it works here. So you guys can see this here, okay? I'll show you. So this is the video. So it says looking good. Although much of your audience isn't active at this time, your video is performing as usual. So the usual will be the gray band, and that changes over time. You go back 2 months ago, that would be much lower. It wouldn't be 8,000 views. So after 8 hours, right now I've just reached a normal performing video, 17,000 views. 347 subscribers, courtesy of. You look on the right-hand side, you see the number of people that just went down. In the last 60 minutes, the number of people watched it and where it's coming from, browsing features and other things. So right now, it's just doing. So depending on how it does the next couple hours, we'll see if it spikes and goes up. All right. But that's just that. So that's the data. So I keep track of that. And the reason I'm looking at that is because this video should do very well, unless I'm being shadow banned. It's what people are interested in. It's timely. No one else has produced a video like this. No one else. Yep. Never get notifications. See, there you go. Chris Holmes in Australia doesn't get notifications. Current South African government, and that's why I tell people, please join the WhatsApp group or the Telegram group. And now you have the Twitter community, Making South Africa Great. In fact, let me take a look at that, and I'll put the link in here if anybody wants to join on that. But already we can see, 297. Last night I had 500 people, 600 people watching at this time. So you can see that the enthusiasm is dying off. But let's see. I want communities. Making South Africa Great. I got one person asking to join, so let me approve that person. I'll see who it is first. Okay. There you go. All right. Let me get a link to that so that people can join that if they want. That's Making South Africa Great. That is the community that I started. And as long as you're not a racist or a bigot, you're welcome to join it. So here's the link to that. Paste. I got to start putting all my links in one place so people can join everything. Okay. And then paste. There you go. Then on top of that, my Twitter link for people that don't know my Twitter account profile. There you go. So we're almost 30. We're 3,500 plus there, so that's cool. Here you go. That's my Twitter account. If you want to follow me there, that's the one I update. I have 5 Twitter accounts, but that's the one I put the most energy in. The other ones I don't really pay much attention to. Okay. I'm already seeing hate creeping into daily interactions. Christian Peter say I warned about that in the first 10 minutes of my broadcast at 8:30 on Friday evening East Coast time, which would have been early morning hours, 3:30 in South Africa. And I warned people about that. We had 37,000 people watch that stream over the 4.5 hours. And I said, my concern is that black supremacists and racists will use this as an excuse to attack South Africans, minorities, whites in particular. Yep. Leslie, it's repetitive questions every night. It has been a factor, but people are getting worn out by all this. Timber Solutions, thank you for your membership. I would like to study University of America. What are the requirements? Well, every university has different requirements, but generally speaking, you have to meet educational requirements. You have to take an SAT or ACT test. These are college exams to show your proficiency level. You have to pay for your tuition. You have to apply an application, and there are different factors that get you into schools. State-run schools are easier to get into than private schools. But yeah, I've gone to Ohio University, Embry-Riddle University, Central Texas University, Troy University, the Army War College, University of Wisconsin, Michigan State University. Who else? University of Maryland. So that's what, at least 8 universities. Oh, Iowa State University, 9 universities I've attended. 9. Yep. Okay, back to what I was saying. So let's get back to the news. The news. So this is hilarious. This is just pure hatred. This is just garbage run by the toilet paper record, the IOL. Check this out. Check this out. So, how the PayPal mafia and apartheid ties shaped Elon Musk's political rise into fascistic technocracy. Seriously? Shame on you, Zoli. As South Africa battles to keep the good name on the global stage after a barrage of attacks from President Trump and shadow President Elon Musk. Okay, Elon Musk is not a shadow president, and Donald Trump has not attacked South Africa. A new theory has emerged. It also shines light on Musk's sharp pivot into politics. Journalist Chris McGreal told the independent news program Democracy Now! That there exists a PayPal mafia that is linked to apartheid South Africa. PayPal didn't exist during apartheid. This is comical. He claimed that the founders of the digital payment company who grew up in the country, including Musk, had been weaving a near century-old web. Wow, Elon Musk is going all the way back to the Rand barons. Other co-founders of the company are Peter Thiel, who is a German-born, who was brought to South Africa, David Sachs, who was born in the country, and Rolf Botha, the grandson of Piet Botha, who was the last foreign minister of apartheid South Africa. You mean the guys who ended apartheid. The ex-owner's fortune ballooned in 2002 after he sold PayPal to eBay for $1.5 billion. He entered into the technosphere as a fervent supporter of green energy, preaching the need to invest into technology for a better world. However, that may have been a calculated ploy to get a foot in the door. Oh my God. Oh my God. These people are just lunatics. Licking the U.S. jackboot is plain unsanitary. It's time for South Africa to grow up. Wow, look at this assaulting by Richard Poplack. What kind of moron are you? Let's see what kind of dipshit Richard Poplack is. I was born and lives in Joburg. He trained as a filmmaker and artist in Montreal's Concordia University. Has produced and directed numerous short films, music videos, and commercials. Now he's a full-time writer for the Daily Maverick. Growing up white in apartheid South Africa. His follow-up was entitled The Sheikh's Batmobile in Pursuit of American Pop Culture in the Muslim World. Okay, well, Richard Poplack, you are really just a bit of a clown there, buddy. Yeah, anyway. And this by Zelda LaGrange. Nelson Mandela's personal secretary. Let's see what she's got to say. Afrikaners are resilient, brave, courageous, and proud people, but we can be stubborn. The whining we've heard over the past couple of days is unlike the people we are. Diplomacy is like playing chess with hot coals. It needs to be left to those who have the skill and understanding of it. Yeah, so basically the ANC shouldn't be involved in diplomacy because they don't have any skills. If you really have the interest of all South Africans at heart, leave the U.S. issue to the diplomats. We have a vibrant, progressive constitution that protects every citizen. Does not. Anyone outside of diplomatic channels can use the courts to address their grievances. Cannot. Joseph Malema is not in jail for calling for the murder of South Africans. Joseph Malema is not in jail for firing a firearm with loaded ammunition into the air to endanger public safety. Joseph Malema is not in jail over the BBS scandal. So no, you don't have courts that address people's grievances. The fragility of our social cohesion in South Africa is at risk. How we react to one another at this time is crucial. We all need to agree on the premise that there needs to be a redress from the past. It is yet another invitation for Afrikaners to cooperate in building a prosperous future, not only for themselves, but everyone. I'm so sick of hearing this bullshit. I am so sick of hearing this. I go to South Africa and I see Afrikaners, especially farmers, bending over backwards. Excuse me, I got to hear something there. Bending over backwards to help black South Africans and address, God bless it, address the past. And then they're called racist and they're attacked and they're taxed to death. And they are victims of farm invasions with poor police response, no rural security. I'm so sick of hearing this bullshit. So, the Expropriation Act is not about taking a person's house, and ERF has been promulgated by some groups. Large parts of land are held in trust, even where there are no longer any beneficiaries to the trust. Large parts of docile land are also held by trust where the land could be used for farming. The new act provides for the above scenarios. Zelda LaGrange, there's a reason for trust, and land, only 13% of your land is arable. Are you going to tell me how much of that trust is in arable land? And then we can have a serious conversation about this. And yes, it is about taking your property. If you think the ANC won't do that, you are delusional. And if you think that the fact that you were Mandela's private secretary gives you any credibility on this issue, that's simply your opinion. And it carries no more value than mine. Wow. We have a multi-party democracy and a government that now caters for everyone. Well, what are you talking about? Caters for everyone? Then why do you need expropriation? You have expropriation with compensation. Why do you need to steal land from people? See, once again, these clowns are a distraction. This is another leftist. It's another ANC cater-like person, LaGrange, who profited from working for Mandela and her book. And she is sitting here as an apologist for communist ideology, taking people's land. Well, there are large tracts of land. Who gives a shit? You don't have a right to take people's land just because there's historical grievances. That's what the land claims program was for. It addressed that. Well, it's not fair that people have more land than others. You people are idiots. Unbelievable. Crime is a problem for every South African, not only Afrikaners. Who said it was only a problem for Afrikaners? You're making that shit up. See what leftists do with distraction? Unemployment is a problem for every South African, not only whites. Who said it was only for whites? You're making that shit up. Mother tongue education issue for every South African, not only one language. Funny how she actually takes my point, which has been ignored by the ANC and ignored by politicians in South Africa. And I said, why would anybody support Bella? Because if I was a Xhosa and I wanted my kids to go to school first grade because the only language I knew was Xhosa, I want them to learn math in Xhosa, not in English. Why aren't they standing up for it? She actually makes my point. Corruption, mismanagement, decline of service delivery is a problem for every South African. If you cannot align yourself with the fact that every South African shares the same frustration and challenges, is entitled to the same rights and dignity as you are, it implies you don't understand or want equality, and best you consider the U.S. offer. That is arrogant, asshattery, leftist skullduggery. Zelda LaGrange, shame on you. Shame on you. You're captured. You're captured. Unbelievable. That's insulting to South Africans. Have you been raped? Have you had your home invaded? Have you been shot? Have you been robbed? Have you been carjacked? Because you're white? And if you're going to sit here and tell me that whites aren't targeted, whites and Indians are targeted for kidnappings, for murder, for home invasions, because the presumption is that's where the money's at. And if you're too stupid to see that, Zelda LaGrange, unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah, this is a person who betrays Afrikaners. This is a person who betrays her own community by lying and being disingenuous. Disingenuous. We as South Africans need to rally to create a better society for every single person. Well, I agree with that. Poverty is a time bomb. The clock is ticking. Yeah, 31 years, Zelda. Why don't you turn that self-reflection back on the ANC and say, where's the 254 million rand for the asbestos tender in the Free State? Where is the 15 million rand for a soccer field in Eastern Cape that's just a field of dust? Where is the billions of rand that was stolen during PPE? Where is the $5.6 billion, 90 billion rand that the World Bank, the IMF, the African Development Bank, and the BRICS Bank gave to the ANC in 2020 during COVID? Where is the $711 million that the United States and the European Union gave to Aspen Pharmacare to make vaccines? None have been produced. Where is all the money? Where is the $7 billion from the arms deal? You have one functional Gripen fighter. You have 2 ships that can go to sea for a couple hours and come back. No submarine floats. Where's the money at? Where is the money from the corrupt tender deal that took the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, sold it to a BEE company, and then you pay them to maintain your own oil stocks, which you no longer own? Zelda LaGrange. Don't sit here and play this game. You need to reflect on the theft of the ANC, a party whom you work for. Your president, you work for him, Zelda LaGrange. Unbelievable. Stop the fear-mongering, believing only in worst-case scenarios. I know the trust in government is tainted, but then let's rely on one another rather than outsiders to fix this country. Well, you're not relying on outsiders. You're not getting our money anymore, so you're on your own. You got to fix it. I'm really sad at things that come to this. 94 was starry-eyed. Well, a lot of people were, William. News 24 reports that a lawyer apparently that would be very difficult for Afrikaners to obtain refugee status despite executive order. Well, News 24 is full of shit because News 24 doesn't know what the program says. So how can you make that determination? That's fake news. That is a lie. That's propaganda. And those people are carrying the water for the ANC government. That lawyer doesn't know the answer, nor do I. Your last post is deleted by YouTube mods, even though you're a moderator, Erica. Yeah. So that lawyer's full of shit. He doesn't know what he's talking about. As I heard a content creator said yesterday that you will have to wait months to get refugee status. But they didn't say refugee, they said asylum. Well, this isn't asylum, it's refugee. And the rules for this program are not established. So that lawyer doesn't know what he's talking about. Doesn't know what he's talking about. Yep. Zelda, go to China. Honestly, then I have no other advice to say because South Africa isn't going to let you leave with that money. I remember someone was like taking a court on his money and he wanted to leave. Who was? I don't know. Joel Pollack was an ANC member until he saw how much support Palestine. How is Joel Pollak an ANC member, Jonathan? Joel Pollak is an American. He was never old enough to have been an ANC member. He never lived. Well, he was in South Africa, but he worked for Tony Leon. So how is he an ANC member? When was that? I'm not refuting it, but please tell me when Joel Pollak was an ANC member. He worked for Tony Leon. He was a speechwriter. He didn't start Breitbart. See, okay, Jonathan, that's just fake news, man. You got to get your facts right. Joel Pollak didn't start Breitbart. Andrew Breitbart started Breitbart. Joel Pollak was hired there, along with a bunch of other, neoconservatives who get all the attention and sometimes don't know what they're talking about. No, Joel Pollak was a speechwriter for Tony Leon for the DA, but he moved to South Africa as an American. He's not a South African. His parents are Jewish. They went to America when he was like 4 years old, and he grew up in America, and he's an American citizen, and he worked for the DA. And he didn't start Breitbart. Andrew Breitbart started Breitbart. Most people have their heads in the sand. Read the act and get the facts before making BS statements. The Colonel's 100% correct. Whites have been discriminated against since 94. Yep, that's correct. She's talking of South Africa that died a long time ago. Yeah, Zelda is delusional. What she's talking about died with Mandela. Okay, these journalists you found are ashamed. They are. And that's why I keep exposing them. They assaulted my brother. He was almost dead, was in ICU for home health. Yeah, Trudy, exactly. And they attacked him because he was white or because he was a farmer or because, whatever. People have their own ideology and their own people's statements. Whoops, Papaloose. Is it true that they target whites, but a lot of black people I know get raped? I know that like 6 that I know personally. Papa Juicy, yeah, well, the number of people who are raped and murdered is overwhelmingly black in South Africa because they make up 80% of the population. Just like America, most criminals in America numerically are whites, but as a percentage represented, we're way under a percentage population. 75% of Americans are white, but prison populations are only like 53% white because there are 40-some% white. Anyway, and that's not because of a skewed criminal justice system, because far fewer whites commit crimes. But we have murderers and rapists and pedos and all that. Every group does. Most victims of crime in South Africa are black. But that doesn't negate the fact, Papa Juicy, that people who are white are presumed to be wealthy. And so criminals target them specifically because they're white, even if they don't have money. I mean, look at this little girl who's been kidnapped in the Eastern Cape right now, and she's begging on a video for her mom to pay whatever they're asking for. The family doesn't have money. They're Indian, so they presume they have money, so they kidnapped a 9-year-old girl. They've got her tied up for a week now. I hope that she safely returned. When you have been hijacked, stolen from, and seen your parents been attacked on a farm, then speak again. Exactly, Anita, exactly. Yeah, we can't get government tenders if our companies are 51%. Exactly. There's discrimination right there. I mean, look, if Zelda thinks there's no discrimination of whites and they're not intentionally targeted, explain to me, Zelda, why there's 142 racially discriminatory laws in South Africa. And you can't tell me it's to redress grievances. You don't redress grievances that way. Zelda should stick to her day job being a personal secretary. Exactly. Where's the $2.3 trillion reported by Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld? What are you talking about, $2.3 trillion, Holden? That's not a very helpful thing. What $2.3 trillion? The defense budget wasn't $2.3 trillion in 2001. Where is the handout money they got for the last 30 years? Exactly. Where's the $8.1 billion that we spent for HIV? They are panicked about a potential brain drain. That's what they're trying to do. And that's what this is. This is propaganda to convince or mislead South Africans not to leave South Africa. I don't want you to leave South Africa, but I'm not going to lie to you. That's your choice. It's not my choice. I'm not your parent. I'm not your son. I'm not your brother. I'm not your uncle. Although a lot of people call me Thank you for that. That's your decision. And I feel heartbroken that you have to want to leave for those who want to leave. Anyone really believe the ANC post-Stalinist? No, they're not. They're just gangsters. ANC, you're right, for sure. Crime in general is a big problem, kind of like the Wild West here. I'm in Limpopo. Yeah, no, I got you, Papa Juicy. I got you. No, see, that's the problem. And see, when you call out the truth, you get painted as a racist or, an alarmist or, a fearmonger. I'm none of those things. I mean, look at all the content I've done promoting South Africa. And look how I speak so well on South Africa. It's just right now we're in this news cycle about what's going on here. And instead of calming down and stop acting like total asses and insulting America, members of parliament are amping up this stuff. Wow. Joel Pollack broke the Sabbath to tweet the Palestinians should be genocide. I didn't see that. Well, if that's the case, that'll probably tank his. If they think he's going to be the next ambassador, maybe I'm still in the running. I've never said anything like that. Nobody should be genocide. I didn't see that, Jonathan. I'll take your word on that. Yep. Where's the COVID response money exactly? Keoma Fenta says, don't mean anything bad, but there are a few traditional healers that use humans and there are things called, Keoma, I've reported on this, particularly the horrible things they do to albinos. The horrific story of the young albino girl in the Eastern Cape who was babysitting a black infant, and they came in and they dragged her out. And they took the infant, assuming the infant was also albino. And when they saw it was a black child, they dumped it in a ditch, and the child suffocated in a drainage ditch. It was like, I think like 18 months or 8 months old or something like that. They took the little girl off, who was like 12 or 14. They plied her with ethyl alcohol, and that's how they killed her. They chopped her body up, and then they shipped it to Johannesburg for the elite, rich, black muti users. It's sick. I've talked about all these issues. It's really sad. Doug Ford threatening to switch off electricity in America. Go ahead. We'll see how that goes for Doug Ford. Yes, I know. I know what it means, cool. Major corporate client, Joe said, for further biz, I had to get 51%. There you go. Introduced me as sister. Yeah, there you go. Corrupt. So about 18 years back, I knew a guy stayed up on the road from me. He went to put petrol in the car. When he came home, he found his wife on the floor in the kitchen, shot twice. Good God. Good God. Zelda's in a deep hole. Yep. Could have used Gupta money. Not to be negative at all. We Afrikaners have no say or right. So for me, while I can sit still, okay. EWC, to most Afrikaners, is declaration of war. We've been cut out of their idea of a country with their racist laws. The only option. Yep. DA is a crying shame and a fraud. They were supposed to fight in the trenches. Now these racist laws, everyone has a price. Yep. Some people can be bought. Anyway. So, to show you how effective governance is in South Africa under the ANC and others, let's take a look at Nelson Mandela Bay's Kariga Township. 2 streetlights fixed in 90 days. Electricity Department in Kariga, formerly Uitenhage, fixed only 2 of the 198 faulty streetlights reported during the final 3 months of 2024. Wow. 1,400 streetlights were out in only 3 of the Metro's 60 wards. But as DA Councillor Ondela Kepe pointed out, the Metro doesn't report cumulative numbers. Situation is not much better elsewhere in the Metro, with Dispatch fixing the most, 31 of 85 faulty streetlights, 5 of 36 in November. Yeah, so there you go. That's what governance looks like in South Africa. These streetlights aren't working now. Some of these streetlights aren't working because they cut the cables, and then people steal the cables after that. And they cut down the lights. So, yep. Nations denouncing the Trump tariff on metals and warn of retaliation. Well, good luck on that one. Okay. Looking for his $2 and found the intruder busy strangling his daughters. With shock, he ran for his gun, and the guy got away. His daughters were 4 and 6. Did the wife die? Hi, Chris. What was the reason for your former YouTube to be shut down? Jean-Paul, the reason it was shut down is because I was falsely accused of things I never did. I have the receipts. I have the emails from YouTube falsely claiming me of violating community standards. Just to give you an idea how demonic this was, when it first started happening in January, I had a video, give an example. I did an interview with the CEO of the Restaurants Association of South Africa. And that video was an interview with her on Valentine's Day of 2021. Okay, when they began easing the lockdown. And so she came on my stream at the beginning for 15 minutes, and then she dropped off. I saved that interview and then loaded it up later on just as an interview because I was on for 3 hours. And so people could watch that. And all it talked about was, listen, they've eased the lockdown. You can come back to restaurants, only 50% occupancy. Please bring your partner or spouse, and be sure to tip your waitstaff because a lot of them haven't had any employment for months and they're desperate for money because they're in desperate straits. And she encouraged people. Spoke to me for 15 minutes. I loaded that video up. It was on for 9 days, no problem. Then around the 21st of January, about the time that they pay people, they start scanning all your videos, I had gotten software that I bought that I still use editing my videos. And then my viewers had spent the equivalent of $500 to get a graphic artist to make an opening video for me. And you see the graphics with different music at the beginning of the show. And so as a reward to my viewers, I wanted to put that video in. So I took the software, which had better ways to adjust the audio levels and fix the video, and I put that opening at the beginning. I loaded it up that morning. That morning I was interviewing Gary Gold, the USA national rugby coach, South African. And 45 minutes into our interview, YouTube just died on me. I had to apologize. And I had another interview with a member of parliament from the DA in Gauteng province about a farm murder that was occurring with an hour break in between. So what happened was I quickly got out. I apologized to Gary. He said, don't worry about it. We'll do it again sometime. And I went and looked, and I had a strike on my channel. And why'd I have a strike? So I looked, and not that video, but another one, I was given a strike for it. And then they took that video down, which had just been up that morning. That video was reported by trolls. And this is when trolls were ruling YouTube under the previous CEO. She's gone now, so it doesn't work that way anymore. But the trolls, the black supremacists and white liberals who didn't like the truth, falsely reported my video saying that it was violation of YouTube policies. And I appealed it, and in 15 minutes, YouTube apologized and sent me an email 15 minutes after I appealed and said, no, your video does not violate our community standards for that policy. So they restored the video, but I had a strike, so I couldn't broadcast because it was a strike on a different video, and I didn't have time to refute that one. So I went on YouTube, I went to Facebook and did the interview with the member of parliament, got that up, and then I came back, and the video that they restored was removed a second time for the same policy violation. And I wrote back and said, here's a screen capture. You just told me that it didn't violate this. Why is it removed again? 2 hours later, it was restored. Then later that evening, it was removed a third time for the same policy violation. I said, how can you keep removing my video? That happened to 6 or 7 videos over the course of 4 or 5 days. And that's when the handwriting was on the wall. Every month, they would issue me a new strike. So that was January. Then February, I got a second one. And then, I got my first strike in February. That's when it was. Second one in March, and I got a third strike in April, and they removed my channel. I appealed it, and they said that, too bad, you violated our standards. And I said, you didn't show me where I violated your standards. 6 months later, I requested my channel be restored, and they said, nope, it's too late, your channel's gone. And I'm like, that's not true, it's sitting on your server. Because my channel was removed for a video that did not exist. This is how demonic YouTube was. Jean-Paul, was it you that asked that question? Who asked the question? Anyway, my channel was removed for a video that did not exist. I had done a video, a sarcastic video about Dr. Fauci. Early stages of COVID, he said that N95 masks don't work. And I said, that's bullshit. They do work for their intended purpose. But he did that so that people would make a run on masks and go buy them, and then there'd be none for first responders and surgeons. Like people bought toilet paper and paper towels and bought all that stuff up. So he should have been honest with people, and I was. Then 6 months later, he said, if you don't wear a mask, you're killing Granny. Masks are effective. Leave them on all day. That's what he said. And I said, what? You just told us they don't work. Now you're telling us they work? So I put him being interviewed, both of them up, and the time frames. And then I said sarcastically, so who do we believe? Dr. Anthony Fauci or Dr. Anthony Fauci? That video I had up. I never had a strike on it. And then because they gave me a second strike, out of an abundance of caution, in March of 2021, I removed 43 videos with cheeky titles and things that might be questionable content. They were within the standards, but the rules kept changing in 2020. They kept imposing new standards, and they didn't even notify content creators. I never got a notification saying, well, now you can't say this on YouTube. You can't deny the election. You can't do that. I never got a notification. They just changed the rules to take people down. So I took 43 videos down. 1 month later to the day, I get a message from Anne-Marie Nell saying, Chris, where's your channel? What happened to your channel? Do you know your channel's gone? I'm like, huh? And I went and looked. My YouTube channel was gone. I was crushed. I was heartbroken. I did nothing wrong. So as I said, I appealed it. 6 months later, they said, it's gone. I waited 23 months. They restored Donald Trump's YouTube channel after that scumbag CEO left. She later died of cancer, but she left, and YouTube eased their censorship regime. So when they did that, I appealed my channel for a third time 2 years after it was taken down, and it was restored. But in the meantime, they had removed 2,000 or 3,000 of my subscribers, and they don't promote my content. I did a video last night on their live stream of 134 views. Meanwhile, on this channel, I have, on this stream tonight, 2,500 views. So anyway, and I had 37,000 views on the live stream the other day. So, all right. So I hope I answered that question. Every little tribal boss in the country is trying to get a turn to play boss once a successful country. Yep. Okay. BE does affect everyone. It makes a highly inefficient economy and too much graft, and everybody suffers. Saw news that she's safely home, not sure. Oh, really? For that little girl? Oh, thank God. But she's going to be traumatized for life because of that. She'll never trust anyone. She'll be fearful, and it's going to harm her. Hopefully she won't withdraw. Joel Pollack was a Democratic libertarian but did not like those policies, so he switched eventually to Republican many years ago. He's pro-Jew and pro-American. Correct. Okay. Don't mean anything bad, but there are a few traditional here. Okay, I already got that. Did you see the Doug Ford? Okay, got that. We'll be back there. Okay. Okay. Tangled in our anchor chain. Financial systems are decades old. According to some estimates, we cannot track 2.3 trillion. Okay, well, yeah, okay, Holden, thank you for that. You're quoting Donald Rumsfeld from 2001 when he was talking about the procurement systems of the Department of Defense and how they couldn't account for things in the audit. Well, the 2.3 trillion transactions was a cumulative figure that someone made an estimate of going back to the 1980s. It may very well have been true, but it was never proven. And that's what Elon Musk is looking at now. Traffic cop, his wife was from Paradise. Paralyzed. Oh, my goodness. Back to taxes in the U.S. I pay state and federal taxes for 7 years. I'll pay taxes in the country that's not judging me my color. Centurion Streets. Paul Liebenberg, good morning to you. Bernard, Armageddon. It's heartbreaking because I knew them very well, and she was a carefree woman, very cheerful. Eventually moved with his daughters and haven't heard anything from him since. Sorry to hear. Robert says, when do you sleep? You'll fall down. Not yet. Folks, you got to understand that I was in the Army, and while I'm not fit now like I was my entire life, I need to be fit again. In my 20s and 30s as intelligence officer, I would go on exercises that were 2 or 3 weeks long, and I would be running on 15-minute cat naps for 96 hours. A couple 15-minute cat naps around 96 hours. So, yeah. Okay, you'll find the government workers more active weekends. Okay, instead of YouTube deleting people's videos for copyright claims, they should ask the person to pay for the song if they refuse. Exactly. There you go. That's what they should do. Hijacked twice, and both times I was shot first, no talk. I was robbed at gunpoint, gave everything, and then got shot when I told... Jeez. Wade says, I have had to consult with my psychologist to deal with the stress I'm experiencing. I don't think ANC realizes the psychological effect. Oh, they don't care. It doesn't matter what they realize. They don't care. Okay. If I find a news article from months back, it was our local news. A woman, she was 70, was sexually assaulted by a gardener. No, that happens all the time. They raped an 89-year-old woman. Gang raped her. They don't care. Thank you. Much appreciated. The leftist was so bad in those years. Glad to see you moved on. Well, I didn't move on. I stuck here, and I started this channel, which is now twice the size of what the original channel was, almost twice the size. And I never gave up. Dark days. I mean, there was a time there we were having 40 or 50 people for a live stream. And it was great. It was intimate. A lot of the people that are here now were in those conversations, but it wasn't nearly as fulfilling as it can be when we're getting the word out and sharing it with people. A friend of mine was a nurse. She was kept in the lowest post her whole life. She got depressed and eventually took her own life. Yeah, see, that's another thing. She's captured and spent about 4 months in jail, let go. We're all shocked that she was eventually moved. Still see her now with another man. I don't know what that. Are you streaming 24/7? It may feel like that. It took a long time to actually get your channel. There was a lot of rubbish being spewed, so keep up the good work. Thank you. Yeah. Android Wyatt. C. Wyatt Roller Mills has a nice ring to it. Afrikaners are going to want pop with their meat. Did you watch the Forbes broadcast covering Doge? No, I didn't see it. Does Doge have access to NSA databases? No, of course not, Holden Caulfield. How would they have that? They don't have top secret sensitive compartment information clearances, and they have no need to know. You only get access to those databases. And by the way, those databases, nobody has access to all of them. My dad said farmers would join the military. Let's tell you how things work, okay? When I was in Bosnia as a counterintelligence agent in charge of all U.S. counterintelligence activities in that theater as a captain, thank you, Peter Figueroa, an American officer was accused of espionage against America. Well, somebody has to investigate it. I was the senior counterintelligence. We had counterintelligence agents there, but I was a senior person, so I was appointed. There were 3 people in the U.S. government that knew about that investigation. My boss, who I worked for, wasn't even allowed to know. He was just told by the general, the 2-star general, that I would be working on something and we couldn't disclose it because of the sensitive nature of it. So he didn't even know what I was doing, and he had to let me go anytime I needed to go work on it. So I investigated this officer. I did interviews with people. I eventually interviewed him. He was offended. I read him his rights. I'm like, well, dude, I'm just protecting you. Don't be mad at me. He was a major and I was a captain. I knew about the investigation. I had to brief the general. And the only other person in the entire world that knew about this classified investigation was the adjudicating officer, the case officer, back at the headquarters where this was looked at for counterintelligence. That's it. The investigation determination was there was no merit to the allegation. It was a misunderstanding that people blew out of proportion, but there were things that should have been done differently so that it didn't give that appearance. And the case was closed, locked up, put in a safe. The president didn't know about it. The other people in the military there didn't know about it. Nobody ever knew about it because other people knowing about it would have undermined that person's reputation, his career, his clearance, his access, trust in his leadership over a false allegation. And so that's an example of classified information. NSA has all kinds of databases. I worked there. I ran a $3 billion program, 60 billion rand program as a major. That's a relatively junior rank to be running such a big program. I wasn't in charge of the program, but I was the chief of staff. So I led the staff and I made decisions, coordinated the meetings, made decisions on budgets and projects we're working on. Nobody in the program I was involved in, which had thousands of people working it around the world, were privy to anything or all the things that we were responsible for. Yep. Did you watch? No, I didn't see that. Okay. I was taking a bit of time last night after all the news to slow down and notice the small things I do before going to bed. Yeah, checking the cameras, locking up, walking the yard. Yeah, I don't have to do that here. It can't be normal. It isn't. You're inured to the security issue. Morning, M. I hope that you're not listening to Mockingbird lies. Thanks for your time, Marius. You're welcome. Eugene Young, welcome to you. I'm Tool Forsher. Good morning to you. All over the news, Ron Posa says he had a phone call again with Elon, says it's apparently a strategic concern due to his influence on Trump. So, Yaku, Peter say, 2 days ago, Cyril Ramaphosa was moaning and whining in the press about the violation of diplomatic norms by the United States by not sending a letter to South Africa, normal diplomatic channels, to tell them that we were going to suspend aid. Not using normal diplomatic channels. Elon Musk is not a diplomat. Elon Musk doesn't carry a diplomatic passport. Elon Musk, I don't think he's paid by the federal government. He's not technically even an employee of the government. So calling a billionaire to influence the president of the United States is very undiplomatic and a violation of diplomatic norms and not the standard under the Vienna Conventions. So you see the hypocrisy of these clowns in the ANC. If Cyril Ramaphosa wants to talk to President Trump, he should call President Trump, not Elon Musk. Do you see these hypocrites who whine about the very things that they do? Email you a link. Check it out when you have a chance. I'll try Armageddon. They wanted to retire it. Oh, people, what's this? Okay. I don't know if you saw, but there's apparently a series of voice notes going around talking about MKMP planning some sort of uprising in March, April. Hadn't seen that. No. Those with eyes. Well, thank goodness you have eyes. A family my dad knew, a husband had his toe and fingernails pulled. Wife was repeatedly raped. Both went to hospital. Both died in their 80s. Not long after, their only son took his life. Yeah, no. I mean, this is intentional. That's horrible. Yeah. Devious said all the media and media voices have missed the Iran nuclear point. Huge factor. Yep, it is, Tokolochi. You're right about that. All right, guys, we've been at this for almost 3 hours, which was not my intent. 316 likes. Be sure to hit the like button. I'm going to wrap up here now because it's 2 a.m., and I'll be back on later today. Remember, Wednesday's a busy day. Normally on Wednesday, I have my program early. Then I'm on Wednesdays with the Colonel on Ronaldo Khos program. And then I have my radio program here in the U.S. at 7 p.m., which is 2 a.m. in South Africa right now, the Common Sense Conservatives every Wednesday night. So that's at a minimum what I do on Wednesdays. So that's coming up. But I'm going to go and make a video about John Steenhuisen calling America a threat right now. Wow. So we'll talk about that, not just Steenhuisen, but I'm going to point that out. So please watch my video about the 14 questions, and hopefully that will keep going. Let's see how it's doing now. I haven't looked at it in a while. So 16.9 was the last time I looked at it, 16,900 views. Now it is at 18,500. It's just barely above the average, so it's not doing particularly well, but getting a lot of subscribers, 407. So let's take a look at where we are on subscribers now. We are at 37,898. I need 102 more subscribers in the next hour in order to make it 38,000 on the day. So there you go. All right, cool beans. Thank you all so much for being here. Be sure to hit the like button. Don't trust the caters. Don't trust the media. Don't believe the lies. You don't have to believe anything I told you. just check the receipts. Go to whitehouse.gov, read about the 20 January suspension of the refugee resettlement program for reevaluation. Read about President Trump's actual executive order, which doesn't sanction South Africa. It doesn't punish South Africa. It doesn't address a go. It doesn't put sanctions on anybody. It simply stops foreign aid, which South Africa is not entitled to. South Africa's violated the African Growth and Opportunity Act. They're not entitled to the aid. It's over. And tells you the truth about what's going on. Okay, thanks, everybody. You all take care. Appreciate it. And have a good night. For those of you who are looking to come to America, I'm sad that you feel the need to do that, but I understand where you're coming from, and I wish you the best of luck once the program's announced, and we'll keep you up on it. I'll take a look into forming that non-governmental organization for SAFAs in USA. All right? Cool beans. All right, you guys have a good night, and thank you for being here. Be sure to watch my other content, particularly the 14 questions. It answers many things that people are asking. Cheers.
I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks for all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just